Chapter 1174. Feng Chen Yuyan, don't feel too burdened. We will continue to look forward to your brilliant performance. Good luck. Stepping on the first rays of dawn, they arrived outside the fire god shrine and sent Yi Chunfeng and Jiao Yuyan off with his eyes. Chinese Network 1. Not long after the two of them entered the fire god shrine, a powerful aura appeared. A white-haired old man with a short stature, full of spirit, a trace of arrogance on his face, and a badge that symbolized the highest status on his chest walked into the fire god shrine with tiger steps. Feng Chen, that old man is known as the Saint of Pills, Great Master Nirvana. He is the #1 Saint Master of our 9 Heavens Divine Kingdom. Jiao Yuyan transmitted her voice to Yi Chunfeng and introduced him. Powerful. Yi Chunfeng looked at Great Master Nirvana from afar and felt that he had merged with the space around him. If one didn't look at him with their eyes, they wouldn't be able to sense his existence. Not long after Great Master Nirvana's arrival, Great Master Dan Xian of Octave Divine Kingdom, Great Master Bai Luo of the Kirin Kingdom, and Great Master Shuiwei of the Hidden Vast Heaven Palace arrived one after another. Although they didn't communicate with each other, they stood proudly in the fire god shrine and gave off a great pressure. It was as if they were towering mountains that couldn't be shaken. Just as Yi Chunfeng was secretly sizing up his main competitors, Yi Chunfeng's sharp senses sensed 4 sharp gazes locked onto him. Fire Sky Halberd, I didn't expect him to sign up as well. Looking at the tall and sturdy Fire Sky Halberd beside the Saint's son of the Fire Spirit, Yi Chunfeng revealed a playful smile. However, although Fire Sky Halberd was also a Saint Master, he wasn't Yi Chunfeng's main target. Yi Chunfeng coldly glanced at him before retracting his gaze and patiently waiting. Soon, the 20 alchemists participating in the semi-finals all arrived. These 20 people represented the highest level of alchemy inheritance in the Central World. Everyone, it has been a long time. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the silent space. Led by Hall Master Xian Hongjing, the 5 big shots of the Heavenly Palace walked out of the Fire God world and arrived at the Fire God Shrine. Hall Master Xian, don't waste any more time. Let's start the competition. Grandmaster Nirvana, who was meditating with his eyes closed, opened his turbid eyes. He looked at Xian Hongjing, who looked like an immortal, and slowly said, Master Nirvana, don't worry. Let me introduce the rules of the competition to these little fellows who are entering the semi-finals for the first time before we start the competition. Xian Hong revealed a kind smile and said softly, the semi-finals are the same as the semi-finals. It's an elimination competition. Only 10 of you can enter the finals. For the sake of fairness, the pill recipes and herbs will all be provided by my heavenly palace. The pills that you make will also belong to my heavenly palace. Although the Sky Hall's alchemy competition consumed a lot of resources, they also gained a lot. Just the elixirs that were refined in each alchemy competition were enough to make up for their huge consumption. It should be known that the Ancient Path pill and other pills were extremely valuable, not to mention the quasi-sage pill that might appear. If all these pills belonged to the heavenly palace, then the resources they controlled would be unimaginably powerful. Alright, the semi-finals will last for 5 days. You can choose your pill formulas now. Then, the Qian Kuan ring on Vice Palace Lord Xian Qingyun's hand shone with rays of white light. Nearly 100 jade scrolls with different pill formulas floated in front of him. At this time, Master Nirvana and the others all released their powerful souls into the jade scrolls to choose their pill formulas. Soon, everyone had chosen their pill formulas. Because the difficulty of refining the quasi-sage pill was extremely high, other than Master Nirvana, Master Dan Xian, Master Bai Luo and Master Shuiwei, everyone else chose to refine the Ancient Path pill. Yi Chunfeng chose to refine the Ancient Path pill called the Immortal Ancient Dew pill. It could increase the power of Nirvana's supreme beings without any side effect. The Immortal Ancient Dew pill could be said to be the Ancient Path pill with the highest quality and the most difficult pill formula to refine. It required 108 types of herbs. Other than Yi Qinfeng, 7 others chose to refine the immortal ancient dew pill, including Fire Sky Halberd and the Flame Spirit Saint Sun. The 5 of us will be the judges for this competition. Does anyone have any objections? After Yi Qinfeng and the others finished choosing their pill formulas, the highly respected and authoritative Xian Hong revealed a faint smile and said, "I have objections." Suddenly, the restriction on the Fire God Palace's door was forcefully torn apart. Yao Yen, who was wearing a long black robe, suddenly appeared and said slowly, "Yao Yen." Looking at the sudden appearance of Yao Yen, Xian Hong and the others' faces suddenly darkened. "Yao Yen, we don't welcome you here. You can leave now," Xian Qingyun said rudely. Xian Hong didn't even say anything, and you, a deputy palace master, wanted to steal the limelight? Yao Yan's face didn't have a trace of anger as he said casually, "Qingyun's words represent me. Yao Yan, our Sky Hall doesn't welcome you. You can leave now," Xian Hong Yun said indifferently. "Xian Hong, I'm not here to cause trouble today. I'm only here to be a witness for my disciple and grand disciple to prevent you from bullying them," Yao Yin said slowly. He didn't have any intention of leaving. "With Grandmaster Nirvana and Grandmaster Pilheart around, do you think my Sky Palace will be unfair? Don't think that everyone is like you, kind on the outside but cold on the inside. You are ruthless for your own selfish gain," said Xian Hongjing coldly. "Xian Hongjing, it seems like you're still afraid that my disciple will beat your disciple. That's why you're making so many excuses." Yao Yen mistakenly thought that Yi Qinfeng was Xian Hongjing's disciple. He said lightly, "How about this? I only need one sentence from you. If you're willing to admit that you're afraid of me, I'll leave immediately and never step into your Fire God City again." Xian Hongjing suddenly laughed and said slowly, "So you think that Feng Qin is our disciple? What, you don't even dare to admit that he's your disciple?" Yao Yen showed a trace of sarcasm. In his opinion, only the Sky Hall could cultivate a monstrous alchemist like Yi Qinfeng. "I want Feng Qin to be our disciple, but unfortunately, he's not." Xian Hongjing shook his head and said, "Feng Qin, this old guy wants to witness the competition between you and his disciple. Do you have the confidence to defeat them?" "Yes, I have full confidence." Yi Qinfeng was stunned. He looked at Xian Hongjing, who was looking at him with a kind gaze, and said confidently, "Haha, good. Since you have the confidence, I'll make an exception and keep this old guy here. I hope that after the semifinals, you can make him lose face." Xian Hongjing looked at Yi Qinfeng, who was brimming with confidence, and said with a light smile, "Don't worry, senior. They will lose without a doubt," Yi Qinfeng said confidently. "The competition hasn't started yet. Isn't it too early to talk about victory?" Fire Sky Halberd suppressed the anger in his heart and looked at Yi Qinfeng with clenched teeth. "If you chose the Quasi-Saint Dan, it's too early to talk about victory. But you chose to refine the same Dan as me, so you're destined to lose," Yi Qinfeng said overbearingly. "You." Fire Sky Halberd didn't expect Yi Qinfeng to be so arrogant. He was so angry that his face turned black. "Alright, let's not waste time arguing. In this world, everything depends on strength. Arguing with words is just a child's play." Yao Yen didn't look at Yi Qinfeng at all. His voice was full of ridicule and disdain. "Senior is right. What I can't stand the most is some people who act like they're the best, but are actually idiots." Yi Qinfeng smiled and cleverly attacked. "You." Fire Sky Halberd's suppressed anger was ignited again. His lungs were about to explode. "Xian Hongjing, can the competition begin?" Yao Yan's eyes flashed with a sharp light as he said lightly, "Alright, get ready to start the competition." Xian Hongjing smiled and announced loudly. In the next moment, 20 independent spaces appeared in the sky above the Fire God Temple. These 20 independent spaces were the alchemy grounds for everyone. Mobile reading home, book address, In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you can see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1175. What a mysterious space. I really don't know which almighty person created this. Flying into an independent space, Yi Chunfeng found that the space was very stable and removed all the disturbances from the outside world. The space was full of spiritual qi, which could continuously replenish the consumption of alchemy. It was an excellent place for alchemy. Watermark advertisement test TextNet 1. Just as Yi Chunfeng sat cross-legged in the independent space and adjusted his state of mind, water ripples suddenly appeared in the independent space. Spiritual herbs needed for alchemy appeared in the independent space. At this time, a huge funnel appeared in the void. When the first grain of fire sand fell down, the fierce semifinals began. Buzz. One after another, pill furnaces appeared in the 20 independent spaces, releasing endless flames, illuminating the entire space in a fiery red color. The Holy Lord Tripod. The Saint's Son of Fire Spirit summoned the Holy Lord Tripod. When Xian Hongzheng and the others saw the Saint's Son of Fire Spirit summoned the black tripod with ancient engravings and floating above their heads, they all showed a trace of anger. Yao Yan, you are indeed a despicable person. Isn't it unfair for you to do this? The hot-tempered first elder Xian Zhongting glared at Yao Yan, who was sitting on an ancient wooden chair and drinking tea calmly, and said in a low voice, "What was fairness in this world where the strong preyed on the weak?" Yao Yan raised his eyelids slightly, glanced at Xian Zhongting and said lightly, "Can fairness be eaten? Also, do you have a written rule that you can't borrow alchemy furnaces?" Xian Zhongting, if you are afraid of losing, just say it. Then even if you lose, I won't humiliate you. Yao Yan, I believe that my vision is better than yours. Even if you lend the Holy Lord Tripod to that junior, you can't change the result. Xian Hongzheng looked at Yao Yan, who tried to overthrow the Heavenly Palace and caused great losses to the Heavenly Palace, and said in a low voice, "If it weren't for the hidden power that Yao Yan controlled, Xian Hongzheng would have suppressed him if he dared to appear in the Heavenly Palace. Let's wait and see who will have the last laugh." The corners of Yao Yan's mouth curled up slightly as he spoke with a calm expression. It was as though victory was already within his grasp. The source of his confidence was not only the Holy Sovereign Cauldron, but also other hidden tricks. Not only did he lend the Sage Sovereign Cauldron to Yao Yan, but he also left a hidden card in the Sage Sovereign Cauldron. He left the Sage Sovereign Cauldron with the Sage Sovereign Cauldron, helping the Flame Spirit Saint Child improve the quality of the Celestial Ancient Dew Pellet at the last moment. As long as the Flame Spirit Saint's son could concoct the 10 marks Immortal Ancient Dew Pill, he would have an 80% chance of defeating Yi Chunfeng. He would even be undefeatable. This was also the reason why he was so calm. Well, I hope you have the guts to stay after the game. After he finished speaking, Xian Hong no longer paid attention to Yao Yan, who was sitting alone at the side. He cast his gaze toward the light wall and patiently waited for the final result. With 108 herbs, the difficulty of concocting this celestial ancient dew pill was more than just a little harder than concocting a great Tao golden core. Yi Chunfeng released his powerful soul and quickly sensed the attributes and medicinal properties of the herbs before him. However, these 108 herbs were too complex. Yi Chunfeng had to combine his soul and memories to slowly feel them out, wasting a lot of time. However, he was not in a hurry. He knew the importance of the early work. Only by understanding all the medicinal properties of these 108 herbs could he deal with any situation that might arise during the concoction process. Not only was Yi Chunfeng not in a hurry to concoct the pill, but Master Nirvana and the other 3 who chose to concoct the quasi-holy pill were also patiently trying to understand the herbs before them. They were making detailed preparations for concocting the pill. About 6 hours later, Yi Chunfeng, who had his eyes tightly shut and was controlling the God-Eater brain to deduce the medicinal properties of the herbs, suddenly opened his eyes. Rays of sharp light shot out from his eyes, as if they were sparkling stars. Using the God-Eater brain to completely understand the medicinal properties of these 108 herbs, Yi Chunfeng put 10 drops of soul fluid in his mouth and summoned the Suzaku cauldron. He was ready to concoct the pill. 10,000-year green spirit vine, purple leaf orchid, Bodhi flower, green lotus fruit, melt. Yi Chunfeng continuously spat out more than 10 mouthfuls of death flame heavenly fire into the Suzaku cauldron, igniting it. Then, he threw in 4 herbs with the same medicinal properties into the Suzaku cauldron. Under the amplification of the Suzaku cauldron and the melting of the death flame heavenly fire, the 4 valuable herbs instantly withered and melted, turning into 4 balls of green spirit liquid. Buzz buzz buzz, Yi Chunfeng's soul force exploded and poured into the scorching Suzaku cauldron. Through exquisite fire control, the impurities in the 4 balls of spirit liquid were separated and melted away. However, the medicinal properties of the spirit liquid were not damaged at all. After successfully purifying the 4 spiritual herbs, Yi Chunfeng's hands moved like lightning. He grabbed the 4 spiritual herbs and tossed them into the vermilion bird cauldron. Through his exquisite control of fire, he purified the spiritual herbs. Time slowly passed. The 20 top alchemists of the central world used all their skills to continuously purify the herbs. Soon a day had passed. During this day, no one completed all the purification. This showed how difficult it was to concoct the quasi-saint pill, the top ancient path pill. 99 herbs had been purified. There were only 9 left before he could completely purify them. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and swallowed a drop of soul fluid. While recovering his exhausted soul force, he proceeded to purify the remaining 9 heaven and earth spirit herbs. At this moment, the slowly spinning holy sovereign cauldron suddenly burst into flames. With the power of the holy sovereign cauldron, the fire spirit saint was the first to complete the purification. He quickly swallowed a pill to recover his soul and began to use his exquisite alchemy skills to refine the pill and condense the pill patterns. The difference between Feng Chen and fire spirit's cauldrons was too great. Relying on the old man's holy sovereign cauldron, fire spirit's advantage was too obvious. Looking at the fire spirit saint who stood out and was the first to complete the purification, Deputy Palace Lord Xian Qingyun couldn't help but frown. He transmitted his voice to Xian Hongzhen. "Don't worry, the cauldron is just a worldly possession. Everything still depends on strength. I have a feeling that that little guy will still create miracles." Xian Hongzhen looked at the calm and experienced Yi Chunfeng with a deep gaze as he slowly said. Not long after the saint's son of fire spirit finished his purification, the other sacred masters also finished their purification. On the other hand, Yi Chunfeng took a longer time to study the 108 herbs. By the time he finished purifying all the herbs, the others had already started to refine the pills. Spiritual bead of life, fuse. Yi Chunfeng got rid of all distracting thoughts. He was not affected by the outside world and started to condense the pill. When he used his mysterious alchemy skills to refine the celestial ancient dew pill, he exposed his trump card. For the first time, he controlled the spiritual pearl of life to release a powerful life force. As he condensed the pill pattern, it merged into the vermilion bird cauldron and increased the quality of the celestial ancient dew pill. As long as he could use the spiritual pearl of life to increase the quality of the celestial ancient dew pill to the level of a sage-to-be pill, he would definitely be able to enter the finals tomorrow. He would also be able to give Yao Yen and the fire spirit saint a heavy blow. However, it was his first time refining the celestial ancient dew pill. He was still a little unfamiliar with it. When he controlled the fire with his soul and constantly merged the life force to condense the ancient pill pattern, he accidentally made a small mistake. This small mistake directly caused the fire in the vermilion bird cauldron to become chaotic. The prototype of the pill that had just been condensed started to crack. There were signs of the pill exploding. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1176. Not good. Feng Chen's furnace fire is out of control. If it can't be controlled, the pill will explode. Through the light wall, Xian Qingyun and the others saw a large amount of death flame heavenly fire coming out of the Suzaku cauldron. The entire cauldron was shaking violently. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. Once Yi Chunfeng failed in this way, Yao Yan would definitely use this opportunity to humiliate them. The heavenly hall would also be humiliated. They were also clear about the bet between Yi Chunfeng and the Fire Spirit Saint. They were worried that once Yi Chunfeng failed, he would not be able to recover from this setback. This is the successor you chose? Is he not that good? Yao Yan said deliberately as he drank the spirit tea filled with spirit qi. He smiled faintly and looked at Xian Qingyun and the others who had lost their composure. I said that Feng Chen is not our successor, and the winner has not been decided yet. It is too early for you to be happy, Xian Hong retorted while looking coldly at Yao Yan. Although the pill in Yi Chunfeng's furnace could explode at any time, Yi Chunfeng did not panic at all. It was enough to show that he was confident in stabilizing the furnace fire and solving this problem. I don't care if you admit that the kid is related to you or not. But if the furnace fire is chaotic, it will directly cause the spirit liquid to be lost. So even if he completes the refinement in the end, the quality of the pill will not exceed 7 veins. So he will lose for sure. Yao Yan smiled faintly and said, Yao Yan, you better pray that your disciple and grand disciple can succeed. Especially your grand disciple who you have high hopes for. I think his success rate of refining the immortal ancient dew pill is less than 50%. Great Elder Xian Zhongting retorted loudly. You don't need to worry about this. But I want to make a bet with you. I want to bet on the ancient sacred fire that you have suppressed. Do you dare? Because he had left a secret in the holy sovereign cauldron, Yao Yan was not worried that the fire spirit saint would fail. Today, he came here to support Fire Sky Halberd and the others. He also wanted to obtain the ancient sacred fire that was known as the #1 sacred fire in the central world. Yao Yan, I will not use the ancient accumulation sacred flame to bet with you. If you really want to bet, I can bet a saint pill with you. The ancient sacred fire was one of the most precious things in the Sky Palace. Xian Hongjing did not dare to take the risk, but at this moment, he could not show any weakness. Moreover, he knew that Yi Chunfeng still had the first sacred fire, so he still had a chance. All right, I will bet with you. I hope that after you lose, you won't go back on your words. The value of a saint pill was also extremely precious. Although he did not manage to obtain the ancient sacred flame, obtaining a saint pill was still not a small gain. Yao Yan did not hesitate to agree. Don't worry, my Sky Hall can afford to lose a saint elixir pill. However, I feel that the final victor will be our Xian Hongjing. He took out a white jade box with a large number of seals from his Qiankuan ring and sealed it in midair. Even now, you're still so stubborn. I hope you can still be so calm after the competition. Yao Yan smiled faintly and also took out a jade box and sealed it in midair. Inside these 2 jade boxes were 2 saint elixirs that could cause a storm of blood and make Nirvana Heavenly Realm experts fight over them. Hall Master, do you really believe that Feng Chen can still turn the situation around? Hearing that Xian Hongjing was betting with Yao Yan for a saint elixir pill of immeasurable value, Xian Qingyun and the others' expressions changed slightly. Until now, Yi Chunfeng had not stabilized the chaotic flame. Once he lost control, the saint elixir pill would explode. At that time, the Sky Hall would lose a Saint Elixir pill to Yao Yan. Alright, let's watch the competition, Xian Hongjing said calmly. His deep gaze pierced through the light barrier and locked onto Yi Chunfeng, who remained calm despite the chaos. Looks like I can only reveal the sky burning sacred fire. Even after using several alchemy techniques, he was still unable to stabilize the chaotic flame. Helpless, Yi Chunfeng used the second type of flame he had subdued. He spat out the sky-burning sacred fire and poured it into the vermilion bird cauldron. The sky-burning sacred fire's level was far higher than the death blaze heavenly flame. When the sky-burning sacred fire entered the vermilion bird cauldron, it immediately replaced the chaotic death blaze heavenly flame. In an instant, the violently trembling vermilion bird cauldron regained its calm. Oh, the sky-burning sacred fire. He still had this trump card. Looking at the sky-burning sacred fire summoned by Yi Chunfeng, Yao Yan's pupils unconsciously shrank. He did not expect that Yi Chunfeng, who was only a level 4 beast emperor, could actually subdue a sky-burning sacred fire. This made him even more suspicious that Yi Chunfeng was related to the Sky Hall. Just now, the flame went out of control and damaged some of the elixir's medicinal efficacy. He wondered if the spirit bead of life could replenish the missing medicinal efficacy. Feeling that the medicinal efficacy of the embryonic elixir was lacking, Yi Chunfeng continued to use his profound alchemy technique. He infused the life force released by the spirit bead of life into the ancient elixir runes and into the embryonic elixir, restoring and increasing the medicinal efficacy of the elixir. Slowly, another day passed. The spirit bead of life was indeed a heavenly sacred artifact. After nearly a day of refining, Yi Chunfeng realized that the missing medicinal efficacy of the embryonic elixir had been restored by the spirit bead of life. Furthermore, after absorbing a large amount of life force, the celestial immortal ancient dew elixir showed signs of evolution. This made Yi Chunfeng secretly happy. He cleared away all distracting thoughts and wholeheartedly focused on refining the celestial immortal ancient dew elixir. The duration of the semifinals was 5 days long. However, no one left the viewing pavilion. They were all patiently waiting for the final result. When there was only a third of the fire sand left in the funnel, a sacred master from 9 Heavens God Kingdom was the first to refine a celestial immortal ancient dew pill and was the first to complete the competition. A 10-mark celestial immortal ancient dew elixir. Saint Master Half Moon from 9 Heavens Divine Kingdom was indeed extraordinary. He managed to refine the elixir to 10 marks in just 4 short days. With his alchemy skills, there was indeed hope for him to enter the top 3. Looking at the perfect 10-mark celestial immortal ancient dew elixir floating above Saint Master Half Moon's head, Xian Hongjing and the others were full of praises. After Saint Master Half Moon from 9 Heavens Divine Kingdom, Saint Master Blood Dragon from 8 Head Divine Kingdom, and Saint Master Lai Feng from Kirin Kingdom also refined 10-mark celestial immortal ancient dew elixir. They sat cross-legged in their respective spaces to recover and wait for the final result. Because only Grandmaster Nirvana and the other 3 chose to refine the quasi-saint pill, Saint Master Half Moon, Saint Master Half Moon, and Saint Master Half Moon entered the final round without any suspense. Pung! On the last day, when the alchemists were using their mystical alchemy skills to speed up the condensation, a huge explosion sounded in one of the spaces. Saint Master Thousand Bird from the demonic Pattern Valley made a small mistake at the last moment, causing the explosion of the elixir to go to waste. And he himself suffered from the backlash of the heavenly fire that went out of control in the cauldron and was heavily injured. Black demonic holy flame to speed up the condensation. At this time, the fire spirit Saint Sun, who was on the verge of death and had used up a lot of his soul power, used the black demonic holy flame hidden in the holy sovereign cauldron to speed up the condensation. Finally, when there was only half a day left, the fire spirit Saint Sun used the terrifying power of the black demonic holy flame to finish the refinement before Fire Sky Halberd and the others. And with the help of the holy sovereign cauldron and the black demonic holy flame, his celestial immortal ancient dew elixir also reached 10 mark. It was perfect. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record your reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1177. Yao Yen, you despicable bastard. Not only did you lend the holy cauldron to Fire Spirit, you also hid the black demon holy flame you tamed in the holy cauldron. You are cheating. The moment the lid of the holy sovereign cauldron opened, wisps of black flames emerged. The experienced Xian Zhongting and the others immediately recognized that the black flames that emerged from the holy sovereign cauldron were the holy sovereign cauldron black demonic holy flame that Yao Yen had subdued. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. The cheating Yao Yen put down the teacup in his hand and looked at the furious Xian Zhongting and the others. He said calmly, "I think you are slandering me. What evidence do you have to prove that I hid the black demon holy flame in the holy cauldron? If you can't afford to lose, then just say it. Don't find such a tasteless excuse." Although Xian Hongzheng and the others saw the black demon holy flame come out of the holy cauldron, they didn't have the evidence to take control of the holy cauldron. This was why Yao Yen was so fearless. You really can't change your bad habit. Thousands of years have passed and you are still the same. Xian Hongzheng's face also showed a trace of anger as he said angrily. The fire spirit Saint's son used the holy cauldron and the black demon holy flame to make the 10-mark Yi Qinfeng first. This meant that Yi Qinfeng couldn't turn the tables and lost the competition between him and the fire spirit Saint's son. More importantly, Yi Qinfeng made a mistake in the beginning, which greatly affected the quality of the elixir. It was basically impossible for him to make the 10-mark immortal ancient dew elixir. He basically lost the chance to enter the finals. If Yao Yen didn't lend the holy cauldron and the black demon holy flame to the fire spirit Saint's son, Yi Qinfeng might not have lost. It could be said that Yao Yan's despicableness directly changed the result and could change Yi Qinfeng's fate. Xian Hongzheng, I didn't expect you to be such a sore loser. How disappointing. Yao Yen responded with a smile, as if the thousands of years of grievances were all released at this moment. While Xian Hongzheng and the others were arguing with Yao Yen, the Holy Light Saint Master from the Sword Sect also finished making the elixir. Without a doubt, the Holy Light Saint Master made the 10-mark immortal ancient dew elixir. If Master of Destruction and the others all made the quasi-saint elixir were all successful, then there would only one enter the finals. Buzz the space around the fire sky halberd suddenly fluctuated. Endless tongues of flame were released from the medicine furnace that was spinning rapidly in front of him. In the next moment, Fire Sky Halberd slammed his hands on the medicine furnace, and a celestial ancient dew pellet with a strong medicinal aroma flew out of the furnace and floated in the air. Not bad, not bad. 10-mark heavenly immortal ancient dew pill. Seeing that Fire Sky Halberd had refined a perfect heavenly immortal ancient dew pill, Yao Yan's smile grew wider. He looked at the gloomy Xian Hongzheng and the others provocatively and said, "Xian Hongzheng, what do you have to say now? Yao Yen, the competition isn't over yet. Isn't it too early for you to be happy?" Xian Hong was currently glaring at Yao Yen, a thick killing intent emerging in his heart. "I think you really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Now that there are only 4 spots left for the finals, do you think that kid still has a chance to advance?" Yao Yen snorted and said, "Don't tell me you think that kid can refine the Tianxian ancient dew Dan to the level of quasi-holy Dan." You hearing Yao Yan's repeated provocations, Grand Elder Xian Zhongting could no longer suppress the killing intent in his heart. "What? You can't afford to lose and want to fight? I already knew that you Heavenly Hall are a bunch of hypocrites." Yao Yen sneered and said fearlessly, "Xian Zhongting, I'm sitting right here. If you want to fight, then do it. If I can't kill you in 10 moves, then consider it my loss. Grand Elder, don't be impulsive. Don't fall into his trap. Seeing that Yao Yan wanted to make a big deal out of this, the gloomy Xian Hongjing immediately transmitted his voice to him. Although in Xian Hongjing's opinion, Yi Chunfeng was powerless to reverse the situation and had already lost, if he were to make a move in front of so many people, what he would lose was not only a sacred pellet and his personal dignity. The Heavenly Hall's reputation would definitely be ruined because of this matter. In addition to his anger, Xian Hongjing also regretted his impulsiveness. If he didn't want to use Yi Chunfeng to ruthlessly humiliate Yao Yan, then things wouldn't have ended up like this. Xian Zhongting, didn't you want to fight? Come, I'll wait for you here. Seeing that Xian Zhongting was suppressing his anger, Yao Yan's lips curled up slightly. He gave up his cold smile and continued to ridicule. Grand Elder, don't be angry. Did you forget that a dog can bite a man, but a man can bite a dog? Let's see how long he can keep shouting. Second Elder Xian Yunzhou was surprisingly calm. He glanced sharply at Yao Yan and coldly retorted. Fine, I'll let you deceive yourselves for a while. I hope you still have the face to stay here after the competition. Yao Yan's pupils shrank. He glanced at Xian Yunzhou and didn't say anything, but in his mind, he kept thinking about how he would humiliate Xian Hongjing and the others after the competition. How he would use this as an excuse to ruin Heavenly Hall's reputation and make this alchemy competition a laughingstock. Just as the atmosphere was so stifling that he couldn't breathe, Great Master Naimi, who was known as the Saint of Alchemy, was the first to finish refining. Although he didn't use his full strength, he still refined a 7-rune quasi-sage pill and advanced to the finals without any suspense. Not long after Great Master Naimi finished refining, Great Master Dan Xian, Great Master Bai Luo, and Great Master Shuiwei also refined quasi-sage pills. Because they had held back their strength, the quasi-sage pills they refined were only 6-rune to 7-rune quasi-sage pills. But in less than 5 days, they had refined a high-quality quasi-sage pill. It was enough to show that the 4 of them represented the highest level of alchemy in the Central World. Seeing that Great Master Naimi and the others had finished refining their pills, Yao Yan's smile grew wider. On the other hand, Xian Hongjing and the others were in complete despair. In their opinion, Yi Chunfeng was already powerless to reverse the situation. He had completely lost the chance to advance to the finals and turn the situation around. As the time drew to a close, Jiao Yuyan, who was second to last, finished refining her pill. She had performed exceedingly well and refined a 9-rune ancient Dao pill. Although the quality of her ancient Dao pill couldn't be compared to the celestial immortal ancient Du pill, it surpassed the 4-tier 9 heavenly masters. In addition to Heavenly Master Qiao, who had failed in refining her pill, Jiao Yuyan had obtained at least 15th place after the competition ended. Although this meant that Jiao Yuyan had lost the qualification to advance to the finals, this result still made Jiao Yuyan feel as though she was dreaming. She was extremely excited. Keeping the 9-rune ancient Dao pill in her hand, Jiao Yuyan looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was completely focused on refining his pill through an independent space. At this moment, other than Yi Chunfeng, all the other alchemists had finished their competition. There wasn't much time left. In Yao Yan's opinion, Yi Chunfeng was struggling before his death. He had been completely defeated. He had been utterly defeated. There was no suspense about his defeat. Finally, when the fire sand in the funnel was about to run out, the vermilion bird Shadow spread its wings and flew into the air with the celestial immortal ancient Du pill in its mouth. When Yao Yan saw that Yi Chunfeng's celestial immortal ancient Du pill only had 3 pill runes through the light wall, he mercilessly laughed out loud. His laughter was filled with ridicule. On the other hand, Xian Hongjing and the others revealed bitter smiles. The last trace of hope in their hearts had been shattered. Mobile reading site, book address, For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button at the bottom to record your reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1178. Xian Hongjing, what else do you have to say now? A 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient dew pill? Your taste in choosing a successor is really too bad. Can that saint pill belong to me now? Yao Yen looked at the gloomy faces of Xian Hongjing and the others and freely ridiculed them. What? You look down on my 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient dew pill? I can say that my heavenly immortal ancient dew pill is many times better than your disciples. Yi Chunfeng, who had just walked out of the independent space, heard Yao Yan's ridicule and unceremoniously retorted. Feng Qin, have you lost your mind? A 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient dew pill is better than a 10-mark heavenly immortal ancient dew pill? You are really stupid and ignorant. Yao Yan looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was calm and did not reveal a trace of depression, and coldly said, Feng Qin, at this time, are you still not going to admit defeat? You have already lost the qualifications to enter the finals, and I have advanced to the finals. The battle between you and me has already been decided. Shouldn't you kowtow to me 3 times and take out the saint pill that you stole from me? The flame spirit Saint's son looked at Yi Chunfeng mockingly, wanting to ruthlessly humiliate him. I really don't know if I am stupid or you guys are stupid. Yi Chunfeng lightly sighed and raised his 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient dew pill high up in the air, and said, Open your eyes and look carefully. The heavenly immortal ancient dew pill that I refined has already surpassed the category of ancient Tao pills. It has reached the level of quasi-saint pill. As soon as Yi Chunfeng finished speaking, everyone's eyes simultaneously looked at the 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient dew pill in Yi Chunfeng's hand. Immediately after, the already despaired Xian Hongjing and the others revealed an expression of disbelief. Even the turbid eyes of Great Master Nirvana and the others revealed a strange expression. Impossible! The celestial ancient dew pill was just an ancient path pill. It couldn't have reached the level of a quasi-divine pill. The fire spirit Saint's son didn't believe Yi Chunfeng at all. He refuted loudly. Whether or not the celestial ancient dew dan that I refined reached the level of quasi-sage dan is not something that you can judge with your mouth. Yi Chunfeng looked at the flustered and exasperated flame spirit Saint's son and revealed a trace of sarcasm. He said, Yao Yen Qianbei, I wonder if you are willing to evaluate the level of the celestial ancient dew dan that I refined with Xian Hall Master and the others. Alright, I will personally appraise it and see if the 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient Tao pill you refined is as mysterious as you say it is. When Yao Yan looked at the 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient Tao pill in Yi Chunfeng's hand, he discovered that this ancient Tao pill was indeed somewhat unusual. The smile on his face gradually faded as he slowly walked over to Yi Chunfeng's side. Feng Qin, this old guy is extremely shameless. Don't give him the 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient dew dan that you refined. Otherwise, he will use underhanded means to destroy the quality of your pill. Xian Hongjing took a step forward and came to Yi Chunfeng's side. He reminded him in a low voice. Xian Hongjing, at this time, things had changed. Yao Yan no longer had the arrogance and haughtiness from before. His face gradually turned cold. What? Do you think what I said is wrong? Xian Hongjing revealed a rare smile and said, If you didn't cheat by lending the Holy Sage Cauldron and the Black Devil Holy Flame to your grand disciple, with his little ability, he could also refine the 10-mark heavenly immortal ancient dew dan. As soon as Xian Hongjing's words fell, many level 9 heavenly masters who lost the qualification for the finals all showed anger. The status of these level 9 heavenly masters was not simple. Being treated as enemies by them, the Sacred Fire Valley's future days would not be easy. Xian Hongjing, is it interesting to argue now? Let's first appraise the level of his unique pill. Yao Yan did not continue to argue with Xian Hongjing. However, the twitching of his eyes was enough to prove that he was extremely angry. He did not expect this to happen. Fengchen, put the heavenly immortal ancient Dudan that you refined on the lotus seat. Xian Hongjing took out a golden lotus seat of extraordinary quality. When Yi Chenfeng placed the heavenly immortal ancient Dudan in the center of the lotus seat, Xian Hongjing, Yao Yan, and the others immediately released their powerful soul power into the 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient Dudan to inspect the pill's quality. Grandmaster Nirvana, Grandmaster Pillheart, and the others also immediately sent their soul power into the lotus seat to appraise the pill's grade. As the top alchemists of the central world appraised the heavenly immortal ancient Dudan, the flame spirit saint's heart was extremely unsettled. If Yi Chenfeng really refined a quasi-saint heavenly immortal ancient Dudan, then even if he advanced to the finals, his chances of defeating Yi Chenfeng were not high. Once he lost, not only would he lose face, but he would also have to give away the sacred Fire Valley's most powerful divine ability. After the competition, the sacred Fire Valley would be the enemy of many forces, including the Sky Hall. He could not bear the consequences of such a failure. Fengchen, tell me honestly, did you cheat? With your strength, it's impossible for you to refine a quasi-saint, heavenly immortal ancient Dudan. After repeatedly appraising it, Yao Yan had to admit that Yi Chenfeng's 3-mark heavenly immortal ancient Dudan had indeed reached the quasi-saint heavenly immortal ancient Dudan. He could not accept this result and was even more furious. He glared fiercely at Yi Chenfeng. Senior Yao Yan, don't think that you're despicable. Everyone is despicable. Cheating is something only a person with a bad character like you would do. Although Yao Yan was terrifying, Yi Chenfeng did not give him any face because he knew that if he continued to be patient, it would only make his enemy more arrogant. Fengchen, don't think that just because you have the support of the Sky Hall, you can speak to I in such a tone. If you anger me, no one will be able to protect you. Yao Yan no longer had his usual calmness and warned. Yao Yan, can't you afford to lose? If you can't afford to lose, then just say it. There's no need to threaten a junior. Xian Hongjing said coldly as he stood beside Yi Chenfeng. It's not that I can't afford to lose, but there's a problem with the celestial ancient dew pellet he refined. I don't believe in his results at all. Yao Yan slightly raised his eyelids and met Xian Hongjing's sharp gaze. Flames surged as he slowly said, "Then what do I have to do to make you believe me?" Yi Chenfeng sneered. "Unless I provides a Dan recipe and you refine the Dan in front of everyone. If you can raise the level of the Dan provided by I, then I will recognize your result. If you can't do it, then you're cheating and your results must be nullified." Yao Yan deliberately made things difficult for Yi Chenfeng. "No problem, you can provide the Dan recipe. As long as there's no problem with the Dan recipe, I can raise the level of the Dan." Out of everyone's expectations, Yi Chenfeng agreed very straightforwardly. This caused Yao Yan to unconsciously furrow his brows. "Yao Yan, this is just a test. The Dan recipe you provide cannot be higher than a middle-grade Dao Dan. Otherwise, you're guilty and deliberately making things difficult for Great Elder Xian Hongjing." "Humph," Yao Yan coldly snorted. In front of Great Master Jimia, Great Master Dan Xin and the others, he couldn't put down his old face to make things difficult for Yi Chenfeng. He took out a yellowed parchment scroll from his Qianquan ring and said, "There's no problem with this low-grade Dao Dan, Jiaoli Dan, right? Jiaoli Dan is the most common low-grade Dao Dan. After taking it, you will have the power of a Jiao dragon for a short period of time." "Good, then let's refine this Jiaoli Dan." Yi Chenfeng very readily agreed. "In order to avoid you saying I cheated, you still provide the herbs. Here." Yao Yan opened his big hand and 16 herbs appeared in front of Yi Chenfeng. Grabbing these 16 herbs, Yi Chenfeng repeatedly checked them. After making sure there was no problem, he threw them all into the Zhu Ke cauldron. For Yi Chenfeng, low-grade Dao Dan was no challenge at all. Yi Chunfeng only used a stick of incense time to purify all 16 herbs. Borrowing the power of the spiritual bead of life, he began to condense Dan patterns and improve the quality of the Jiaoli Dan. In just half an hour, Yi Chunfeng condensed the Jiaoli Dan. He suddenly slapped the hot Zhu Ke cauldron and a dark green Jiaoli Dan flew out. Middle grade Dao Danwen, the fire spirit Saint Sun, Fire Sky Halberd and the others felt the level of the Jiaoli Dan refined by Yi Chunfeng. It was as if they were struck by lightning. Their minds went blank and they were all dumbfounded. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the bookmark at the bottom to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you can see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1179. Yao Yen Qianbei, what else do you have to say? Yi Chunfeng held up the Jiaoli Dan in his hand proudly, looking at the gloomy Yao Yen, and asked with a smile. Watermark advertisement test heroes indeed come from the young. Yao Yen looked at Yi Chunfeng with eyes as sharp as knives. After a few breaths, he spat out a few words in a low voice. Haha, Fengchen, you really opened our eyes today. You don't know how arrogant Yao Yen was these few days when you were refining pills. He even deliberately used the sacred elixir to make a bet. Now that I think about it, it's really funny. Xian Zhongding would never let go of such an opportunity, and would constantly open Yao Yan's scars. Sacred elixir, what a big deal. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said, it's just that his disciple and disciple's disciple are too disappointing. In fact, he didn't want to bet on the sacred elixir at first, but he wanted the ancient sacred fire of the heavenly palace. Now it seems that we really should make a bet with him. Aya, what a pity. Yi Chunfeng pretended to be surprised and said, but it's not too late now. I don't know if Qianbei still wants to bet. If you do, I'm willing to bet with you on the result of the finals between me and your disciple's disciple. Fengchen, I advise you not to take advantage of others. Yao Yan's eyes twitched as he warned coldly. Aya, what a coincidence. I like to take advantage of others. Yi Chunfeng said with an exaggerated expression. Oh right, Qianbei, I have a question to ask you. If I really lose, what will you do? Will you also take advantage of others? Kid, the central continent is not peaceful. Be careful when you go out. Yao Yen had never been so sullen before, much less suffered such humiliation. Looking at the overbearing and incomparably arrogant Yi Chunfeng, his lungs were about to explode from anger. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, he couldn't teach Yi Chunfeng a lesson. Once he did, Xian Hongzheng and the others who had been suppressing their anger for a long time would definitely retaliate with lightning speed. Thank you for your reminder. I'll be careful. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said fearlessly, I'll also give you a word of advice. People need face, trees need bark. Being shameless doesn't mean you're invincible. Interesting boy. I'll remember what you said. Yao Yen said coldly. He took back the holy sovereign cauldron that was lent to the fire spirit Saint Sun. He left behind the lost Saint Pellet and turned to leave the fire god shrine. He was afraid that if he didn't leave now, he would be angered to death by Yi Chunfeng. Fire Sky Halberd, Fire Spirit, the results of the competition haven't been calculated yet. You can't leave. If you leave without permission, I have the right to take away your result. Xian Hong looked at Fire Sky Halberd and the Flame Spirit Saint Sun, who wanted to leave with Yao Yen. He warned them coldly. Hearing Xian Hongzheng's warning, Fire Sky Halberd and Fire Sky Halberd could only stay obediently. After all, if they insisted on leaving, it would be equivalent to breaking off relations with the Heavenly Hall, giving the Heavenly Hall an excuse to take revenge on the sacred Fire Valley. Fire Spirit, don't look like your father is dead. Your father isn't dead yet. And you didn't really lose to me. We still have one last round. Yi Chunfeng looked at the gloomy face of the Flame Spirit Saint Sun, who was no longer arrogant, and teased him with a faint smile. Hearing Yi Qinfeng's teasing, Fire Sky Halberd and the Flame Spirit Saint Sun were angry but didn't dare to say anything. They could only curse Yi Qinfeng in their hearts. Okay, put your elixirs on this lotus seat. We'll appraise them one by one and rank them, Xian Hongjing said. After Xian Hongjing and the others' strict appraisal, the final ranking came out. Master Jimia, Master Dan Xian, Master Bai Luo and Master Shui Yu, who had refined the quasi-sage elixir, were ranked in the top 4. Yi Qinfeng was ranked 5th, because he had refined the celestial ancient dew elixir to the level of quasi-sage elixir. He had squeezed out Fire Sky Halberd and successfully entered the finals. The finals were set to be held 2 days later. Although the Holy Son of Fire Spirit had also entered the final round with his alchemy speed, he had lost the Holy Honorable Cauldron and the Black Demonic Holy Flame. With his alchemy skills, it was impossible for him to refine the 10 runes ancient path elixir. If nothing went wrong, he would lose the competition against Yi Qinfeng. Flame Spirit Saint Sun, our competition hasn't ended yet. Don't sneak away. Yi Qinfeng looked at the gloomy face of the Flame Spirit Saint Sun and said deliberately, Palace Master Xian, can we leave now? Fire Sky Halberd glared at Yi Qinfeng, who kept humiliating him. He then shifted his gaze to Xian Hongjing and the others and asked in a low voice, You can leave now. Remember, before the competition ends, no one is allowed to leave Fire God City. Xian Hongjing nodded and instructed coldly, Let's go. Fire Sky Halberd and his son did not have the face to stay any longer and left awkwardly. Palace Master Xian, we're leaving too. Master Nirvana and the others also left. However, before they left, they looked at Yi Qinfeng with deep meaning. Obviously, Yi Qinfeng's ability to increase the grade of his elixir pills had piqued their interest. They were even more surprised by Yi Qinfeng's alchemy skills. Feng Qin, it's all thanks to you today. If you had lost, our Sky Hall would have suffered a crushing defeat and we would have been humiliated by Yao Yen. In order to thank you, I'll give you this divine elixir pill that we won and this divine elixir pill in my hand. Xian Hongjing opened his hand and received the 2 jade boxes that were suspended in midair. He generously gave them to Yi Qinfeng. Senior, this is too precious. Yi Qinfeng knew the value of the divine elixir pill and did not accept it. Feng Qin, this is what I won against Yao Yen and it is also what you won against Yao Yen. You don't have to be polite. Moreover, it is worth it to be able to see Yao Yen suffer and leave in anger. Xian Hongjing said with a smile. That's right, your reversal just now was too satisfying. I think that in this lifetime, Yao Yen will not have the face to come to my Fire God City. As for this stain, he will never be able to wash it off. Great Elder Xian Hongjing said. Alright, then this junior will not be polite. Seeing that Xian Hongjing and the others insisted on giving him the 2 divine elixir pills of immeasurable value, Yi Qinfeng did not decline and accepted the 2 divine elixir pills. Feng Qin, can you tell us your master's name? We really want to know what kind of almighty being was able to nurture such a shocking talent like you. Xian Hongjing asked curiously. I'm sorry, Palace Master Xian, but my master is a wandering crane and has long stopped caring about the matters of the world. Therefore, this junior cannot reveal my master's name. Yi Qinfeng started to fabricate. I was too abrupt. Although Yi Qinfeng did not say it clearly, the information revealed in his words shook the hearts of Xian Hongjing and the others. They guessed that Yi Qinfeng's master's strength was probably at an unimaginable level. Only those supreme experts who had long since hidden themselves could nurture a peerless genius like Yi Qinfeng. That's right, Feng Qin, you must be extremely careful when you travel in the central continent. That old fellow Yao Yen is a vengeful person. You must be careful of his revenge, Xian Hongjing kindly reminded. Don't worry, senior, although this junior is not his opponent, if he wants to kill me, it won't be that easy. Yi Qinfeng smiled slightly, revealing a trace of confidence. Yi Chunfeng chatted with Xian Hongzheng and the others in the Fire God Temple for a while before leaving with Zhao Yan. Watching Yi Chunfeng's departing figure, Xian Hongzheng and the others developed a strong interest in Yi Chunfeng, who had repeatedly created miracles. They really wanted to know if he could create another miracle and rush into the top 3 in the final round of the alchemy competition. Mobile reading website, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read next time, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1180. Feng Chen, you gave us another surprise today. To be honest, we thought you were going to lose, but we didn't expect you to have a trump card and reverse the situation. Wang Tian Marquis and the others, who had been waiting outside the Fire God Shrine, saw Yi Chunfeng and Zhao Yuyan finally walk out of the Fire God Shrine. Regardless of whether it was Yi Chunfeng or Zhao Yuyan, their results today had far exceeded the expectations of Wang Tian Marquis and the others. Especially Yi Chunfeng's method of turning the situation around was something they had never heard of before, causing them to be extremely shocked. They could imagine how prosperous Wangtian Pavilion would be in the future with Yi Chunfeng and Zhao Yuyan in charge. Wangtian Capital would also benefit from this and develop rapidly. Let's go back and talk, Marquis. Yi Chunfeng looked at the excited Wangtian Marquis and the others and smiled. He didn't stay in the Fire God Shrine for long. Under the gazes of many people, he walked toward the ancient courtyard where the Tao addict was blocking. Look, it's Feng Chen, he's so handsome. Yes, especially his eyes, they're really charming. Yi Chunfeng's performance in the past few days was too amazing, so more people recognized him. Especially his method of reversing the situation today, many people were convinced by him. On the way to the ancient courtyard, Yi Chunfeng and his group attracted a lot of attention, especially some women, who were even more fond of Yi Chunfeng. They hid on the side and whispered. As they walked, a petite girl wearing a jade-green silk dress suddenly walked out from the crowd. Her round face had 2 seductive blushes, and there was a hint of shyness in her dark eyes. She came to Yi Chunfeng's side and said, Feng Chen, I want to be friends with you. Is that okay? Hearing the shy voice of the woman in green dress, many pedestrians on the street looked at them with smiling eyes, even Wangtian Marquis showed a smile. Making friends looking at the cute and charming woman in front of him, Yi Chunfeng showed a trace of vigilance, because he remembered that the Phantom's assassins were all women, so he had to be careful. Suddenly, a sharp sword gleam flew out from the crowd and slashed toward Yi Chunfeng at a speed exceeding several hundred lightspeed. Even though the might of this sudden sword light was shocking, Yi Chunfeng's reaction was even swifter. His right hand slapped out like a bolt of lightning, causing numerous grand Tao insights to swiftly condense into a fist light that was like a meteor, and it dragged out a dazzling shadow of the Tao as it shattered the sword light that assaulted him with a single punch. However, the instant Yi Chunfeng shattered the sword light, killing intent burst out from the eyes of the cute girl wearing a jade-green dress. 3 black pearls filled with destructive energy appeared in her hand and shot towards Yi Chunfeng at an extremely fast speed, as well as Zhao Yuyan beside him. Flash-A world-shaking power erupted from Yi Chunfeng's body and pushed Zhao Yuyan away like a stormy sea, using his own body to block the 3 black destruction beads. Boom! 3 loud explosions rang out, and the wanton destructive energy instantly engulfed Yi Chunfeng, crazily destroying his body. More than half of the street was destroyed by these 3 terrifying explosions. Even the buildings that were enveloped in restrictions were affected, and they were covered with spiderweb-like cracks. Wind and Dust Zhao Yuyan, who was firmly protected behind the Wangtian Marquis, saw Yi Chunfeng being engulfed by the destructive energy, and her entire heart shattered. She cried out in pain, afraid that something would happen to him. Open for me! The Tao addict, who had rushed over, roared and released her Tao insights, directly tearing apart the destructive energy that was getting more and more intense. She then rescued the heavily injured Yi Chunfeng from the destructive energy. The Black Lightning Monarch, who had captured the furious Tao addict alive, shouted loudly, "Leave it to me!" The Black Lightning Monarch's body flashed, and he strangely disappeared from where he was. As he rapidly flew, his blurred body split into several afterimages, grabbing at the phantom assassins who had successfully launched a sneak attack and wanted to escape. In the blink of an eye, the phantom assassins who had escaped tens of thousands of meters away were caught by the Black Lightning Monarch and his split afterimages. But in the next moment, the two phantom assassins suddenly exploded their bodies, not giving the Black Lightning Monarch a chance to capture them alive. "Fochin, how are you?" Looking at Yi Chunfeng, who was covered in blood and seriously injured, Jiao Yuyen's eyes suddenly turned red, and she asked with pity, "Don't worry, I'm fine." Yi Chunfeng, who was covered in blood, quickly swallowed a Dao pill, slowly sat up, shook his head, and said weakly, although Yi Chunfeng relied on his high-grade Dao artifact body to resist the fatal triple attack of the 3 black pearls of destruction, the frightening scene just now still left him with lingering fear. If the 3 black pearls of destruction were a little stronger, he was afraid that his body would not be able to withstand it, and would be blown to pieces in an instant. Absolute Sword, escort them back. I'm going to settle the score with Yao Yan. Under her protection, Yi Chunfeng was still injured by the phantom assassins. This made the Dao addict feel ashamed, and she said angrily, "Settle the score with me? Do you think I did this?" A cold voice suddenly sounded, and Yao Yan, who was wearing a black alchemist robe with a gloomy face, suddenly appeared. He looked coldly at the Dao addict and said in a low voice, "Yao Yan, don't be hypocritical. I feel that the person behind the assassination of Fengchen is you." The Dao addict glared at Yao Yan, and the murderous aura in her body became stronger and stronger. She could not help but want to attack. The Dao addict sneered and said, "Dao addict, don't you think your words are childish? I admit that I want to kill him, but in the Fire God City, do you think I will take this risk? And if I really want to kill him, I need the help of an assassin organization. I think in the entire Central World, there are more people who are willing to work for me than the 4 of you. Yao Yan, I am a stubborn person. Now I think you are not a good person, and I want to teach you a lesson," the Dao addict said overbearingly. "Dao addict, do you really think I am afraid of you?" Yao Yan's deep eyes flickered with 2 small flames, and he said without showing weakness, "The 2 people who stood at the top of the Central World were about to fight on the chaotic street. Dao addict, maybe he is not the real murderer. Let's not be used by others." Just as the 2 were about to draw their swords, the Absolute Sword suddenly stood in front of the Dao addict and said in a low voice, "Dao addict, learn more from the Absolute Sword. Sometimes the brain is more useful than the feelings." Yao Yan looked coldly at the angry Yao Yan, and then glanced at Yi Chunfeng, who was seriously injured and sitting cross-legged to heal himself. Then, he turned and left. "Absolute Sword, if you were willing to help me just now, with the strength of the 4 of us, we could have killed that old man." The Dao addict looked at the Absolute Sword in front of her and said indignantly, "Dao addict, you should calm down. There are many suspicious points about the assassination of Fengchen. Even if the 4 of us join forces, we may not be able to kill him. More importantly, Yao Yan's appeal is indeed greater than ours. It is not wise to fight with him until one of us dies without sufficient evidence." Although the Absolute Sword was more powerful than Yao Yan, he was not sure that he could kill him. More importantly, the Absolute Sword also had some misgivings about Yao Yan's appeal and did not want to be used by others, so he kept persuading the Dao addict. "Senior Dao addict, Senior Absolute Sword is right. Now is not the time for revenge. But no matter who that person is, I will definitely find him out from behind the scenes and kill him with my own hand." With the help of the Taoist elixir and the spiritual pearl of life, Yi Chunfeng stabilized his injuries and stood up slowly. His voice revealed an incomparably strong belief. Well, let's go back and talk about it. Under the persuasion of Yi Chunfeng and the Absolute Sword, the Tao addict gradually calmed down and led Yi Chunfeng and others back to the ancient courtyard. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Collect button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1181. What? When Feng Qin returned, he was assassinated by Phantom's assassins. His injuries are serious. Xian Hongjing was furious when he heard the news. Watermark advertisement test. He did not expect the Phantom's assassins to be so arrogant. They openly challenged the Sky Hall's authority and assassinated Yi Chunfeng, who had helped them before. Pass down my orders. Lock down Fire God City and strengthen our defenses. Then, open a bounty for the location of Phantom's headquarters and declare war on Phantom. Xian Hongjing displayed the true colors of an ambitious and ruthless person as he passed down an important order. Yes, Hall Master. Great Guardian Xian Zhangxin obeyed and immediately went to pass down Xian Hongjing's order. Under the Sky Hall's terrifying rallying power, the revenge against Phantom was officially launched. After returning to the ancient courtyard, Yi Chunfeng, who was heavily injured, immediately went into seclusion in his room. He used the spiritual pearl of life to recover his injuries. If he couldn't fully recover in the remaining time, it would definitely affect his results in the finals. Fortunately, the spiritual pearl of life was heaven-defying. He also had many healing treasures on him. In less than a day, Yi Chunfeng's injuries were healed. He began to adjust his condition in his room. Very quickly, 2 days had passed, and the main event of the alchemy competition was about to begin. The Fire God City, which was in a state of panic, became lively again. Feng Qin, how are your injuries? Jiao Yuyan and the others, who had been waiting anxiously for 2 days, saw Yi Chunfeng walking out of his room in good spirits. They quickly went up and asked with concern. Don't worry, I've already recovered. Let's go to the Fire God Shrine. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said softly. After knowing that Yi Chunfeng's injuries had already recovered, Jiao Yuyan's heart finally settled down. She revealed a charming smile and accompanied Yi Chunfeng to the Fire God Shrine. Because of the repeated assassination attempts, the Tao addict and the 4 absolute swords personally accompanied them. They were afraid that an accident would happen again. At this time, the Fire God City had entered the highest state of alert. A large number of experts were dispatched to protect the Fire God Shrine. Yi Chunfeng was their main target of protection. Along the way to the Fire God Shrine, a large number of experts secretly followed them, causing Yi Chunfeng's aura to be full, which attracted a lot of attention. Boy, do your best and try to enter the top 5. The Tao addict patted Yi Chunfeng on the shoulder and said with a smile. Don't worry, senior, this junior will definitely enter the top 3. The corners of Yi Chunfeng's mouth rose slightly as a confident smile appeared on his face. Under Jiao Yuyan's cheers, he calmly walked into the Fire God Temple. Top 3, hearing Yi Chunfeng's confident voice, the eyes of the Tao addict and the others suddenly lit up. If Yi Chunfeng really had the strength to enter the top 3, he would be of great help to them. More importantly, the top 3 positions in the Heavenly Palace's refinement technique competition were extremely valuable. If Yi Chunfeng could really make it into the top 3, it would be enough to cause people to fear him. There would be even more experts who would pledge their allegiance to him, and he would be able to call the wind and summon the rain. Feng Qin, are you all right? When Yi Chunfeng passed through the restriction of the palace door and walked into the Fire God Temple, Xian Hongjing, who had been waiting in the Fire God Temple for a long time, immediately stood up from the armchair and asked with concern. At this time, other than Xian Hongjing and the other Heavenly Palace's big shots, there were more than 10 people in the Fire God Temple. Although Yi Chunfeng only knew Tu Wang Tian and Di Mingyue, Judging from the auras of the other people, their identities were definitely not weaker than Tu Wang Tian. They were all big shots in the Central World. Thank you for your concern, Palace Master Xian. This junior has already recovered and will not affect today's competition. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said softly, That's good. Xian Hongjing was relieved and said, If your results were affected because of the assassination, us old fellows will really be unable to feel at ease. However, the people of Phantom dared to openly provoke my heavenly palace and assassinate you in the Fire God City. It's too hateful. My heavenly palace has officially declared war on Phantom and attacked them. Thank you, Palace Master Xian. Yi Chunfeng's heart warmed as he said gratefully. Feng Chen, I am the torrential devil king of the Octave Divine Kingdom. If you have time, come to my Octave Imperial City as a guest. At that time, I will let Princess Han Yan accompany you for a good stroll. After seeing Yi Chunfeng's astonishing alchemy talent and heaven-defying methods, the torrential devil king of the Octave Divine Kingdom put down his pride and slowly walked over. He had the intention of using Shui Hanyan as bait to rope him in. If I have time, I will definitely go to Octave Imperial City. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said in a neither arrogant nor servile manner. Feng Chen, some time ago, my Kirin kingdom might have had a little unpleasant encounter with you. But don't worry, today's incident will not happen again. At this time, the Qiansen king of the Kirin kingdom, who was wearing a dark golden robe embroidered with a flood dragon, walked over and also put down his pride to exchange greetings with Yi Chunfeng. Looking at the torrential devil king, the Qiansen king favored Yi Chunfeng and wanted to rope him in. Tu Wang, who had bullied Yi Chunfeng before, had an extremely ugly expression on his face. He was furious in his heart, but he really couldn't put down his old face to apologize, so he could only close his eyes and turn a deaf ear. Not only did the two divine kingdoms have a strong interest in Yi Chunfeng, but the Hidden Forces' vast heaven palace and sword sex elders were also interested in Yi Chunfeng and stepped forward to chat. For a time, Yi Chunfeng became the most popular person in the Fire God Temple, the only focus of attention. The Fire Spirit Saint, who had arrived early and was standing in a remote corner, was even more aggrieved. Even in his dreams, he had never thought that he would fall into such a situation. Thinking of the consequences of losing to Yi Chunfeng, he had the urge to vomit blood. Making him kneel and apologize to Yi Chunfeng in front of everyone was worse than killing him. Okay, the time has come. Everyone, please return to the spectator seat. Xian Hongjing saw that the 10 top alchemists who had entered the finals had all arrived, so he immediately asked the people around Yi Chunfeng to return to the spectator seat. He slowly said, Today's finals have the same rules as before. Whoever can refine the highest level pill and the best quality pill will be the final winner. And during the fair period, the pill recipes and herbs will still be provided by my Sky Hall. After saying that, Xian Hongjing took out 50 jade strips. Among these 50 jade strips, only 10 were ancient path pill recipes. The remaining 40 jade strips were all quasi-sage pill recipes. Taking out 40 quasi-sage pill recipes at once was enough to show how terrifying the Sky Hall's foundation was. Without hundreds of thousands or even millions of years of inheritance, the Sky Hall would never be able to take out so many quasi-sage pill recipes. Great Void Quasi-Sage Pill, one of the quasi-sage pills. It can increase the strength of a Nirvana Heavenly Realm expert and cleanse the Great Tao without any side effect. Refining the pill requires 240 kinds of heaven and earth spirit herbs. Yi Chunfeng released his soul and quickly browsed through the 50 jade strip. After thinking for a while, he did not choose the highest level quasi-sage pill. Instead, he chose the second-level Great Void Quasi-Sage Pill. Although the Great Void Quasi-Sage Pill's quality was not as good as the Royal Quasi-Sage Pill, it was above the other quasi-sage pills and was extremely difficult to refine. Seeing his choice, not only were Xian Hongjing and the others shocked, but even Tu Tianwang and the others, who were watching the battle, were in disbelief. If Yi Chunfeng could really refine the Great Void Quasi-Sage Pill, with his age and potential, it was enough for the three divine kingdoms to put down their pride and try to rope him in. This Feng Chen's alchemy skills are really so high. He's reached the highest level in the central world. Various unbelievable thoughts appeared in everyone's minds. On the other hand, the despairing flame spirit Saint Sun was pleasantly surprised. In his opinion, Yi Chunfeng's choice was undoubtedly suicidal. As long as Yi Chunfeng failed and he succeeded, he would still be the final victor. Thus, he chose the ancient path pill with the lowest difficulty. Besides Yi Chunfeng, who chose the Great Void Quasi-Sage Pill, Master Dan Xian, Master Bai Luo and the others also chose the Great Void Quasi-Sage Pill. Master Nirvana, who had the highest chance of winning, chose the Royal Quasi-Sage Pill with the highest difficulty. The Royal Quasi-Sage Pill was one of the most powerful body-tempering pills in the central world. It was also the only Quasi-Sage Pill that could attract a pill tribulation. Alright, since everyone has already chosen a pill formula, then everyone please enter the mustard seed space and prepare to refine the pills. The finals will last for 10 days. I hope everyone can perform above their usual standards and refine high-quality pills. Xian Hongzheng loudly announced. After saying that, Yi Chunfeng and the others flew into the various spatial rifts that had opened up one after another. The finals were about to begin. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1182. After several rounds of the alchemy competition, Yi Chunfeng's alchemy skills had greatly improved, and he was even more familiar with the world's spirit grasses. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. In just over 6 hours, he had fully comprehended the medicinal properties of 240 spirit grasses of heaven and earth. He summoned the vermilion bird cauldron and sprayed the sky burning holy fire into it to ignite it. According to the order, he threw the extremely valuable spirit grasses of heaven and earth into the vermilion bird cauldron to be purified. Hall Master Xian, do you think this Feng Chun can refine the Taishu Quasi-Sage Pill? The tall and straight Demon Wave King was wearing a black robe with golden edges. His eyes sparkled like stars. Through the light barrier, he looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was concentrating on refining pills, and sent a voice transmission to him. What? Does Demon Wave King want to win over Feng Chun? Xian Hongzheng took a sip of green spirit tea and put down the teacup. I do have plans to win him over, but I don't know if Hall Master Xian is willing to be the middleman. After the matter is done, my 8-head divine country will definitely give you a generous gift. Demon Wave King didn't hide his purpose and said, Demon Wave King, I'm afraid I can't help you with this. After all, after the competition, I think there will be many powers interested in him. And this little guy's background is not simple, so whether you can win him over to your 8-head divine country will depend on your ability. Xian Hongzheng replied. Demon Wave King frowned and said, Hall Master Xian, I wonder if you can tell me more about Feng Chen's background? Alright, since we're so close, I'll tell you a little bit. This Feng Chen has a master who has been in seclusion for a long time, and his master is very likely someone from the previous era. Xian Hong told me this through sound transmission. Demon Wave King from the previous era sucked in a breath of cold air and said in surprise. His master has lived for more than 100,000 years? This is just my guess, but to be able to cultivate such a peerless genius, his master's ability is probably beyond our imagination. Xian Hongzheng said. Hall Master Xian, what do you think this Feng Chen will get in the end? Demon Wave King pondered and asked. At first, I predicted that his ranking would be around the 10th place, but now it seems that he is far better than I thought. I think he has a chance to break into the top 3. Thinking of Yi Chunfeng's method of increasing the grade of medicinal pills, Xian Hongzheng had a bold guess about his final result. The first 3 torrential demon kings sucked in a deep breath and fell into deep thought, thinking of how to win over Yi Chunfeng. He could imagine that if Yi Chunfeng was as outstanding as Xian Hongzheng had guessed, then after the competition, the 3 divine nations and the reclusive powers would all throw him an olive branch. After all, at his age, there was still a lot of potential to be unearthed. His future development would be even more limitless. Maybe he really could become the chief pill saint of the Central World. Maybe a honey trap would work. Thinking about the ambiguous relationship between Shui Hanyan and Yi Chunfeng, the corners of monstrous demon king's mouth curled up. During the competition, it was not only Demon Wave King who asked Xian Hongzheng about Yi Chunfeng. The 9 Heavens Divine Kingdom and Kirin Kingdom's people were also constantly sending messages to Xian Hongzheng, wanting to know about Yi Chunfeng in advance. Knowing that Yi Chunfeng had an immeasurably powerful master, as well as his possible ranking, the 2 divine nations people were also racking their brains, thinking of ways to win him over. Very quickly, 2 days passed. Under the heaven-burning holy flame and the vermilion bird cauldron's refinement, 240 herbs were purified by Yi Chunfeng, turning into a large amount of pure and flawless spiritual liquid that floated in the vermilion bird cauldron. Just the first step of purification took me 2 days. This great void quasi-holy pill is truly ridiculously difficult to refine. After purifying all the herbs, Yi Chunfeng immediately swallowed 2 drops of soul-returning liquid to recover his soul force. Then, he continued to spray a large amount of heaven-burning holy flame into the vermilion bird cauldron, increasing the power of the flame and starting to fuse the spiritual liquid into the pill. However, the difficulty of refining a quasi-holy pill was far greater than refining an ancient Tao holy pill. Moreover, refining quasi-holy pill runes was even more complicated. With Yi Chunfeng's superb alchemy skills and soul realm as a 3-star Tao saint, he would need more than an hour to refine a single quasi-holy pill rune. This was also why the competition lasted for 10 days. There was a change. The spirit bead of life could transform a quasi-holy pill's quality. When Yi Chunfeng borrowed the spiritual pearl of life to fuse the quasi-sage elixir markings into the embryonic form of the elixir, he realized that as the quasi-sage elixir markings fused into the embryonic form of the embryonic form of the elixir started to change subtly. And this discovery made his hanging heart fall to the ground. The spirit bead of life was truly worthy of being a sacred treasure. It could actually transform a quasi-holy pill into a holy pill. As long as I can refine a holy pill, I will have a great chance of defeating Grandmaster Nirvana and becoming the final champion. Buzz, buzz. After around 4 days, the cauldron floating in front of the flame spirit saint suddenly burst into flames. A thick medicinal fragrance spread out from the cauldron. A deep blue ancient Tao holy pill with 9 runes on it rolled violently in the flames. Bang! The flame spirit saint slapped the hot cauldron, and a 9-rune ancient Tao holy pill shot out from the cauldron. Although the fire spirit saint was the first to complete the competition and had performed exceptionally well in concocting the 9-rune ancient path pill, very few people paid attention to him because he was the only one among the 10 who chose the ancient path pill. In addition, many people had heard of his hostile relationship with Yi Chunfeng. Feng Qin, I don't believe that you can be so heaven-defying as to refine the great void quasi-holy pill. When you fail, I will return the humiliation you brought me tenfold. Holding the hot 9-rune ancient Tao holy pill in his hand, the flame spirit saint kept cursing Yi Chunfeng in his heart, praying that he would fail. If Yi Chunfeng wasn't there, he believed that he would be the biggest dark horse in this Sky Hall competition. He would be the target of everyone's admiration. However, Yi Chunfeng had ruined all of this. Therefore, he hated Yi Chunfeng. If given the chance, he would definitely deal a fatal blow to Yi Chunfeng. After another 4 days, Master Bailuo, who was wearing a dark brown robe and was slightly thin, was the second to finish refining the 9-rune Great Void Quasi-Holy Pill. Although he didn't refine the Great Void Quasi-Holy Pill into a perfect 10-rune Ancient Tao Holy Pill, his result was amazing enough. Everyone in the Kirin Kingdom was extremely excited. The viewing pavilion that the Kirin Kingdom had booked was filled with excited shouts. Not long after Master Bai Luo finished, Master Dan Xian, who was on par with him, also finished refining. Because the Great Void Quasi-Holy Pill was extremely difficult to refine, even with Master Dan Xian's ability, he couldn't refine the 10-rune Ancient Tao Holy Pill. In the end, just like Master Bai Luo, he refined a 9-rune Great Void Quasi-Holy Pill and ended his competition. Master Dan Xian wasn't satisfied with this result because this result wasn't enough for him to enter the top 3. If Yi Chunfeng created another miracle and performed above his usual standards, he would be squeezed out of the top 3 by Yi Chunfeng. Only the heavens knew if Yi Chunfeng could create another miracle. Mobile reading website, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1183. As time passed, many sacred masters finished refining their pills. However, because the quality of the quasi-sage pills they chose was far from the Great Void quasi-sage pill, no one was able to shake Master Bai Luo and Master Dan Xian's rankings. Watermark advertisement test. However, the two people who were most likely to mess up the rankings still hadn't finished refining their pills. Therefore, the top 3 of this alchemy competition had yet to be decided. Rumble. When the 9th day arrived, the silent void suddenly resounded with the sound of thunder. Dark clouds suddenly appeared in the bright sky without any warning. It covered the sun, causing the entire fire god city to turn from day to night. It was exceptionally gloomy. Within the dark clouds, thunder rumbled and lightning bolts danced. The terrifying aura was extremely terrifying. Pill tribulation. Master Nirvana's Huang Quasi-Sage Pill actually attracted a pill tribulation. Could it be that Master Nirvana's Huang Quasi-Sage Pill had surpassed the Quasi-Sage Pill level? Looking at the dark clouds and the lightning bolts in the dark clouds, many people's bodies froze. They revealed a look of disbelief. Some people even trembled at the sight of the pill tribulation in the sky. They even had the thought of worshipping it. Restrictions open. When the pill tribulation appeared, Xian Hongjing didn't hesitate. He immediately opened up multiple layers of spatial restrictions so that Master Nirvana's Huang Quasi-Sage Pill could better withstand the pill tribulation. Once the Huang Quasi-Sage Pill could withstand the pill tribulation, its quality would very likely surpass the Quasi-Sage Pill and reach the Saint Pill level. Master Nirvana truly lived up to his name. It seemed that other than a few old monsters in seclusion, no one else in the central world could defeat Nirvana in alchemy. Looking at the pill tribulation in the sky, Master Bai Luo and Master Dan Xian sighed softly. They were completely convinced by Master Nirvana's alchemy skills. Yi Chunfeng, who was focused on refining pills, only glanced at the dark tribulation cloud. He got rid of all distracting thoughts and continued to refine pills. The spatial restrictions opened up and a thick medicinal fragrance filled the air. Just smelling the fragrance of the Huang Quasi-Sage Pill was enough to shake one's mind. It was enough to show how shocking Master Nirvana's Huang Quasi-Sage Pill was. Sensing the appearance of the pill tribulation, the Huangji Quasi-Sage Pill that was rolling violently in the blue flames seemed to have a life of its own. It sensed the danger and fell into a state of restlessness. It kept attacking the medicinal cauldron, and the sound of metal hitting metal could be heard. The royal Quasi-Saint Pellet was out of control, but the experienced Great Master Jimia didn't panic. His old hands were like flowing water. They weaved a lot of mysterious patterns into the cauldron. He increased the power of the flames in the cauldron and suppressed the royal quasi-saint pellet. Rumble, a deafening clap of thunder rang out from the thick tribulation clouds. Then, a silver bolt of lightning as thick as a water bucket tore through the clouds like a silver dragon. It carried the power to destroy everything as it bombarded the medicinal cauldron in front of Master Jimye. It wanted to break open the medicinal cauldron and destroy the Huangji quasi-saint pill that exceeded the limits of the Duhun continent. The pill tribulation, attracted by the Huangji quasi-saint pellet, was very powerful. However, as a nirvana expert, Great Master Jimye was also very powerful. He was multitasking. The Fire Dao diagram and the Yin-Yang Dao diagram appeared on his body. They overlapped on the medicinal cauldron and forcefully weakened the power of the pill tribulation. When the silver dragon-like pill lightning pierced through the two Dao diagrams and bombarded the medicinal cauldron, Great Master Jimye made his move again. He summoned a treasure to weaken the pill lightning. Large amounts of lightning snakes extended on the surface of the medicinal cauldron. They passed through the cracks on the lid and attacked the Huangji quasi-saint pellet that was about to be formed. The power of the pill lightning was forcefully weakened by Great Master Jimye. It wasn't enough to destroy the Huangji quasi-saint pellet. Using the remaining power of the pill lightning, the Huangji quasi-saint pellet started to transform. All of its medicinal properties and Dao intent were stimulated. This Great Master Jimye was indeed the top alchemist in the Central World. He was able to split his attention to resist the pill lightning while refining the Huangji quasi-saint pellet. Witnessing the scene before them with their own eyes, everyone present revealed shocked expressions. Even the two Heavenly Palace's Grand Elders, who were in seclusion within the Fire God realm, opened their eyes at this moment. Through the Fire God realm, they looked at Great Master Nirvana, who was currently weakening the pill lightning and refining the pill. The pill lightning seemed to be enraged by Great Master Jimye's resistance. It roared furiously in the tribulation clouds. Streaks of lightning flashed and broke through the turbulent tribulation clouds. They bombarded Great Master Jimye, wanting to destroy him and the Huangji quasi-saint pellet. Great Master Jimye didn't panic in the face of danger. He deduced the two Dao diagrams to the extreme and merged with each other. They turned into a huge Dao intent millstone that continuously destroyed the pill lightning. He used the remaining power of the pill lightning to transform the Huangji quasi-saint pellet. Hall Master, do you think Great Master Jimye can resist the pill lightning and refine the Huangji quasi-saint pellet into a saint pellet? Great Elder Xian Zhongting stared at Great Master Jimye, who was constantly receiving the pill lightning's attacks. He asked Xian Hongjing, who had a deep gaze that seemed to contain the sun and moon. Great Master Jimye's refining skills are on par with mine. Furthermore, he didn't panic when he was attacked by the pill lightning. It's obvious that he still has a lot of energy left. Furthermore, he has many heaven-defying treasures. If nothing goes wrong, he should be able to resist the pill lightning and refine the Huangji quasi-saint pellet in the end. Xian Hongjing took a deep breath. When he was watching Great Master Jimye resist the pill lightning, he was still paying attention to Yi Chunfeng. He was afraid that Yi Chunfeng would be distracted and cause the refinement to fail. However, he saw that Yi Chunfeng was as calm as usual. It was as if the collapse of heaven and earth wouldn't affect him. He let out a sigh of relief. Time passed by. When Great Master Jimye relied on his powerful strength and foundation to resist the pill lightning's baptism for more than 2 hours, the terrifying pill lightning was about to end. At this moment, the thick tribulation clouds swirled. In the center of the tribulation clouds, a tornado-like silver pill lightning shot out from the center of the tribulation cloud. It twisted the void and swallowed Great Master Jimye along with the burning cauldron. Heavenly King Tu and Di Mingyue's hearts clenched at this moment. Success or failure depended on this. Whether Great Master Jimye could resist the pill lightning's final attack or not would determine whether he could refine the pill and win in the end. Just as everyone's gaze was attracted by the silver lightning whirlpool, the millstone that was fused with the Tao of fire and the Tao of yin and yang appeared in everyone's sight. It continuously crushed the lightning whirlpool and neutralized its destructive power. The Huangji quasi-saint pellet in the cauldron also underwent a qualitative change under the refinement of the pill lightning's power. Pill formation, feeling that the 10 quasi-saint pellet patterns in the Huangji quasi-saint pellet had turned into a saint pellet pattern, the Tao diagram's power was unleashed to the extreme. Great Master Jimie, who was under immense pressure, formed multiple complicated hand seals and formed the pill in one go. He successfully refined a saint pellet grade Huangji saint pellet. The instant the pill was formed, the tribulation clouds that covered the void and the terrifying pill lightning immediately disappeared. The chaotic void returned to normal. Mobile reading website, book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click Save at the bottom to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1184. Success. Master Great Destruction had passed the pill tribulation and refined the Huangji quasi-sage pellet. There was no doubt who would get first place in this alchemy competition. Heavenly King Tu and Di Mingyue smiled when they saw Grandmaster Great Destruction successfully concoct the Huangji quasi-sage pellet. Although Yi Chunfeng hadn't finished concocting the Huangji quasi-sage pellet, in their opinion, no matter how heaven-defying Yi Chunfeng was, it was impossible for him to concoct a Huangji quasi-sage pellet to defeat Grandmaster Great Destruction. The first place of the competition was already in the bag of the 9 heavens divine nation. Watermark advertisement test. Watermark advertisement test. There was still half a day left. How many lines of Taishu quasi-sage pellet could Feng Qin refine? Xian Hongzheng and the others didn't think that Yi Chunfeng could create another miracle and defeat Master Great Destruction. With Yi Chunfeng's age, being able to refine Taishu quasi-sage pellet was enough to make history. Fail, he had to fail. The flame spirit saint's son kept cursing in his heart. However, looking at Yi Chunfeng's calm appearance and smooth refinement technique, his heart grew colder and colder. He regretted going against Yi Chunfeng and making a bet with Yi Chunfeng. If it wasn't for that bet, he wouldn't have been pushed to the edge of the cliff. There wasn't much time left. That little fellow had to hurry up. Otherwise, when the time was up, he would still fail. Seeing that there wasn't much fire sand left in the funnel, Xian Hongzheng was still worried. He was afraid that Feng Qin wouldn't be able to refine the Taishu quasi-sage pellet in the limited time. Just as everyone's gaze was focused on Yi Chunfeng, the sky that had just cleared up was once again shrouded by a huge shadow. The rolling dark clouds were like a magnificent army with thousands of men and horses, surging over and gathering into a thick dark cloud above the fire god shrine. An extremely oppressive energy was emitted from the dark cloud, causing the residents of the fire god city to feel as if they were unable to breathe. Why did tribulation clouds appear again? Could it be that Feng Chen's Taishu quasi-sage pellet had exceeded the limit of the central world and attracted a pill tribulation? Looking at the tribulation cloud that suddenly appeared in the sky and hearing the low rumbling of thunder from the tribulation cloud, everyone present was stunned. A kind of shock and excitement appeared on their faces and eventually covered their entire faces. Heavens, what kind of monster was Feng Qin? How could he refine Taishu quasi-sage pellet to the level of a sage pellet? How did he do it? Devil Wave King, Heavenly King Tu, and the others were all stunned. They couldn't believe what was happening. Even Xian Hongzheng, Great Master Nirvana, and the others, who had remained calm in the midst of chaos, were stunned by the sudden appearance of the pill lightning. Their eyes widened as they looked at the tribulation clouds. Xian Hongzheng felt that he had already overestimated Yi Chunfeng. However, every single time, Yi Chunfeng's performance far surpassed his expectations. He was completely convinced by Yi Chunfeng's talent. However, in the next moment, Xian Hongjing's expression changed. He thought of how terrifying the pill tribulation was. With Yi Qinfeng's strength as a level 4 beast emperor, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Once he was injured by the great void quasi-sage pill's pill lightning, it was very likely that his efforts would be in vain and he would fail to refine the pill. Xian Hong was thinking about this, and so were many others. Tu Heavenly King and Di Mingyue were secretly delighted. Since they had become enemies with Yi Chunfeng, they didn't want to see Yi Chunfeng in the limelight. God is helping me. God is really helping me. The fire spirit Saint Sun saw the sudden appearance of the pill retribution and fell into ecstasy. Feng Chen, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Even Master Nirvana had a hard time resisting the pill retribution. You dare to attract the pill retribution? You really don't know how to write the word death. I hope this pill retribution doesn't kill you. Amidst the chaos, some were cursing, some were praying, some were looking forward to it, and some were gloating. Yi Chunfeng was surprisingly calm. His arrogant face didn't change at all. Yi Chunfeng could still clearly see the process of Great Master Nirvana resisting the pill tribulation. Although the pill tribulation was extremely powerful, Yi Chunfeng believed that with his powerful physical body, he would still have a chance to resist it. Moreover, Yi Chunfeng still had the Chaos Divine Wood that had completed its transformation. A mere pill tribulation was no threat to him. Hall Master, Feng Chen's pill tribulation is about to descend. Should we increase the restriction of the Fire God Shrine to help him resist the pill tribulation? Great Elder Xian Zhongting asked worriedly. This Xian Hongjing hesitated. Although he wanted to help Yi Chunfeng resist the pill tribulation, it would be breaking the rules of the competition. The Heavenly Palace would be humiliated and lose its reputation. Hall Master Xian, you're not thinking of cheating, are you? Heavenly King Tu looked at the hesitant Xian Hongjing and purposely said, Restriction open. Xian Hongjing looked at Yi Chunfeng deeply and found that not only was there no panic on his face, but there was also a trace of anticipation. He gritted his teeth and opened the Fire God Shrine and the spatial restriction. Rumble. The double restriction disappeared, and the thick tribulation clouds immediately resounded with the sound of thunder. Silver lightning snakes as thick as buckets suddenly appeared and swam in the thick tribulation clouds, releasing endless destructive power. Finally, as the clouds grew thicker and thicker, a loud rumble came from the clouds that covered the sky. A silver dragon-like bolt of pill lightning descended from the sky, striking towards Yi Chunfeng and the quasi-sage Taishu pill in the vermilion bird cauldron. At this moment the entire world trembled slightly, as if space was being torn apart. Divine Devil Bloodline Ignite. Facing the terrifying pill lightning, Yi Chunfeng didn't dare to be careless. Without hesitation, he ignited his bloodline and transformed into a steel-like divine devil body. He forcefully raised his physical defense to the level of a top-grade Dao artifact. In the next moment, the Sword Dao diagram, the Five Elements Dao diagram, and the Life and Death Dao diagram appeared on his body, crisscrossing above his head to resist the silver dragon-like pill lightning. What? 3 Dao diagrams? With his age and strength, not only did he cultivate to the highest level of alchemy in the central world, but he also condensed 3 Dao diagrams. How did this brat cultivate? Was he the reincarnation of an almighty? How could he be so monstrous? Seeing Yi Chunfeng condense the 3 Dao diagrams to resist the pill lightning, everyone's hearts trembled again. Their eyes widened as if they had seen a ghost. Boom! Boom! When the silver dragon-like pill lightning bombarded the 3 Dao diagrams, it wildly destroyed them. The terrifying destructive power forcibly penetrated the 3 Dao diagrams and bombarded Yi Chunfeng and the great void quasi-sage pill in the vermilion bird cauldron. Facing the direct attack of the pill lightning, the God-Eater brain quickly deduced and calculated the power of the pill lightning. Yi Chunfeng relied on his physical body, which was comparable to a top-grade Dao artifact, to withstand the remaining power of the pill lightning. He guided part of the pill lightning into the vermilion bird cauldron to refine the great void quasi-sage pill. Under the refinement of the pill lightning, the great void quasi-sage pill, which had fused with a large amount of life force, rapidly transformed and showed signs of evolving into a sage pill. Using his physical body to resist the pill lightning, seeing Yi Chunfeng use his physical body to resist the remaining power of the pill lightning without any damage, the spectators couldn't find any words to describe their feelings at this moment. It could be said that the strength and methods Yi Chunfeng displayed today were completely beyond their imagination. It made them feel like they were in a dream. It was unreal. Mobile reading site, book address. To facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1185. The power of this pill thunder was immense. Yi Chunfeng deduced the 3 Dao diagrams and used his body to resist the pill thunder for half an incense stick's worth of time. His injuries began to worsen as he was constantly struck by the pill thunder. Large amounts of blood flowed out from his torn body, dyeing him red. Watermark advertisement test. However, with the Chaos Divine Wood guarding his body, the pill thunder only struck his skin and was unable to harm his core. More and more cracks appeared on his skin, but they did not affect Yi Chunfeng at all. It was as if he could not feel any pain as he continued to use his alchemy skills, using the pill thunder's remaining power to refine the Taishu quasi-sage pill. He stimulated the Taishu quasi-sage pill's greatest medicinal properties and allowed it to transform at the deepest level. At this time was running out and the atmosphere was becoming more and more tense. However, Yi Chunfeng did not panic at all. With the God-Eater brain's ingenious calculations, as long as nothing unexpected happened, he would be able to use the pill thunder's baptism to refine the Taishu quasi-sage pill to the level of a saint pill. Boom, boom, boom. More and more pill thunder fell from the tribulation clouds, crazily destroying Yi Chunfeng's body. It drilled into the vermilion bird cauldron, attacking the Taishu quasi-sage pill that was constantly transforming. Seeing Yi Chunfeng being bombarded by the pill thunder without any damage to his body, the spectators were all numb. They felt that Yi Chunfeng was a monster that surpassed common sense. Just as the fiery sand was about to flow out, a large amount of silver lightning swept over, turning into a lightning vortex. It twisted the void and directly swallowed Yi Chunfeng. The 3 Dao diagrams were torn apart by the lightning vortex, their resistance greatly reduced. At the critical moment, the Chaos Divine Wood broke out of Yi Chunfeng's body and appeared above his head. Its lush canopy swayed as it swallowed an endless amount of chaotic energy, crazily devouring the power of the lightning vortex. At this time, Yi Chunfeng, who was covered in blood, guided the pill thunder that had been weakened by the Chaos Divine Wood into the vermilion bird cauldron to speed up the transformation of the Taishu quasi-sage pill. The 5-colored tree shadow. Feng Chun had a big secret on him. Although no one could see the full appearance of the Chaos Divine Wood in the lightning vortex, they could feel the power of the pill lightning plummet. Everyone guessed that the Chaos Divine Wood was no small matter. It was very likely that it was an extremely powerful sacred treasure. This also made everyone believe that Yi Chunfeng had an unimaginably powerful master. Otherwise, he would not have so many secrets on him. Finally, after fusing with a large amount of life force and being baptized by the pill thunder, the great void quasi-saint elixir transformed into a saint elixir. On the surface of the saint elixir, a half-meandering saint elixir mark appeared. If it wasn't for the lack of time, Yi Chunfeng would have had the chance to refine the Taishu quasi-holy Dan into a 2-mark holy Dan. However, condensing the remaining half of the holy Dan would require at least half a day, causing Yi Chunfeng to have no choice but to give up. pill formation. Yi Chunfeng spat out a mouthful of sky-burning initial sacred flame mixed with his blood essence. He infused it into the vermilion bird cauldron and refined the great void quasi-sacred pill, which had surpassed the limits of the Duhan continent and reached the level of a sacred pill. The pill lightning disappeared. He had really succeeded. Looking at the pill lightning and dark clouds in the sky that suddenly disappeared, looking at the great void quasi-sacred pill that shot out of the vermilion bird cauldron and released endless pill light, the flame spirit saint's last hope was shattered. He was like a deflated balloon sitting on the ground. His eyes were blank and he was completely dumbfounded. Miracle. Feng Chun had created another miracle. Today's competition was destined to be recorded in the history book. Looking at the great void quasi-sacred pill floating above Yi Chunfeng's head with a half mark, Xian Hongzheng and the others showed a trace of excitement. At this moment, no one doubted Yi Chunfeng's alchemy skills anymore. They looked at him with reverence and passion in their eyes. Some people even spread the news immediately through their communication beads, causing a huge uproar in the outside world. Not long after Yi Chunfeng refined the great void quasi-sacred pill, the fiery sand in the funnel ran out. The finals, which had lasted for 10 days, had finally ended. 2 consecutive pill tribulations in the finals were extremely rare in the hundreds of thousands of years of history. In the long river of time, Yi Chunfeng was definitely the youngest alchemist to have attracted a pill tribulation. His performance was also the most shocking. In addition to his extraordinary alchemy skills, Yi Chunfeng had also just displayed a terrifying physical strength and comprehension of Tao intent. It was unimaginable that so many miracles would appear on one person. Sigh. We are really old. We can't even be compared to a junior. Looking at the great void quasi-sacred pill in Yi Chunfeng's hand that was emitting a strong medicinal fragrance and had a half mark, Master Dan Xian and Master Bai Luo looked at each other and saw the bitterness in each other's eyes. They were convinced by Yi Chunfeng's terrifying alchemy skills and were sincerely convinced of their loss. Master Nirvana, who was proud and arrogant and thought that the championship was already in his bag, also fell silent at this moment. Although the quality of the Great Void Quasi-Sage Elixir was not as good as the Huangji Quasi-Sage Elixir that Yi Chunfeng refined, the Great Void Quasi-Sage Elixir pattern that Yi Chunfeng refined was half a path higher than the Huangji Quasi-Sage Elixir pattern. What alchemy skills did Feng Chun have to be able to refine the Great Void Quasi-Sacred Pill to such a high quality? Although pill tribulations could increase the quality of pills, it could only increase the quality by 1 grade at most. The Great Void Quasi-Sacred Pill was not the highest grade of Quasi-Sacred Pill, so even if it passed the pill tribulation, its quality would not surpass the Huangji Quasi-Sacred Pill. However, not only did Yi Chunfeng refine the Great Void Quasi-Sacred Pill to the Sacred Pill grade, but its quality also surpassed the Huangji Quasi-Sacred Pill. In addition, Yi Chunfeng's method of increasing the quality of his pills in the semifinals made him very interested in the alchemy inheritance that Yi Chunfeng had. He wanted to obtain it. If he could grasp it, then he would definitely become the top alchemist of the Central World and be respected by millions. Place the pills you refine on the lotus platforms and let us and the 3 lords evaluate them one by one. Vice Palace Lord Xian Qinyun nodded at Yi Chunfeng, who had given him a great surprise. He took out 10 lotus platforms and floated them in the air. Seeing Yi Chunfeng refine the Great Void Quasi-Sacred Pill that had reached the Sacred Pill grade, the Fire Spirit Saint still felt like he was dreaming. His heart was filled with fear, and he did not dare to look at Yi Chunfeng. It could be said that Yi Chunfeng had become his nightmare, and he could not get rid of it. Feng Chun, if we have the chance, can we exchange alchemy skills? Great Master Jimia's turbid eyes shot out rays of light. He looked at the calm Yi Chunfeng and spoke with the tone of a superior. I'm sorry, Great Master Jimia. Without my master's permission, I cannot exchange alchemy skills with you. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and declined politely. Feng Chen, may I know who your master is? Great Master Jimia frowned slightly and asked unhappily. My master has ordered me not to mention his name, Yi Chunfeng said in a tone that was neither arrogant nor humble. Feng Chen, I is very interested in your alchemy skills and wants to exchange with you. If you are willing, you can state any conditions. Seeing Yi Chunfeng pretending to be mysterious and constantly declining, Great Master Jimia was slightly annoyed. He no longer hid his true intentions and went straight to the point. I'm sorry, but this is related to my master's inheritance. I cannot give it to you, Yi Chunfeng continued to refuse. After that, Yi Chunfeng no longer paid attention to Great Master Jimia, whose face gradually turned dark and had evil intentions. He closed his eyes and waited for the final result. There is nothing I can't get when I want it. Great Master Jimia's eyes flashed with a cold light. He looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was resting with his eyes closed. He kept thinking about the plan to steal Yi Chunfeng's alchemy inheritance. Soon, after Xian Hongjing and the others patiently appraised, the final result was out. Yi Chunfeng and Great Master Jimia had both refined a divine pill and were tied for first place. Great Master Bai Luo was third, Great Master Dan Xian was fourth, and Great Master Shuiwei was fifth. The pale-faced fire spirit saint, who was unable to accept the truth, was 10th. He was at the bottom of the finals. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1186. Tied for first place? Palace Master Xian, isn't there a problem with this ranking? I's Huangji Quasi-Saint Pill is definitely better than his Taishu Quasi-Saint Pill. Isn't it too far-fetched to be tied for first place? Hearing the result, Great Master Nirvana showed a trace of displeasure and objected on the spot. The quality of the Huangji Quasi-Saint Pill is indeed better than the Taishu Quasi-Saint Pill, but your pill only has one pill pattern while Feng Chen's Taishu Quasi-Saint Pill has 1.5 pill patterns. Among saint pills, this half-pill pattern has a huge difference in quality. Thus, our evaluation is that both of your saint pills are on par. Tying for first place is the best result. However, Great Master Nirvana, don't worry. The rewards won't be small. You and little friend Feng Chen can go to the treasure cliff and choose 3 treasures. Xian Hongjing explained. Palace Master Xian, I want to ask you something. I hope you can answer truthfully. Does Feng Chen have any relationship with your heavenly hall? Are you biased towards him? Great Master Nirvana wasn't satisfied with Xian Hongjing's explanation and asked with a cold expression. I do want little friend Feng Chen to have a relationship with my heavenly hall, but unfortunately, I've only just met him and I'm not biased towards anyone. Xian Hongjing calmly explained. Great Master Nirvana, as someone from the older generation, I feel that you should be more open-minded. Perhaps you feel that tying for first place with little friend Feng Chen is a disgrace to your status, but perhaps in the future, you will feel that this is a great honor for you. In order to get closer to Yi Chunfeng, Great Master Nirvana revealed an unfathomable smile and slowly spoke. You. Great Master Nirvana didn't expect Great Master Nirvana to stand up for Yi Chunfeng, and his expression became extremely gloomy. There is always someone better than you. There is no eternal first place in alchemy. Great Master Nirvana, we're all old. This world will belong to the younger generation sooner or later. Don't be too calculative. Master Dan Xian of Octave Divine Nation glanced at the gloomy Master Nirvana. Although he was squeezed out of the top 3 by Yi Chunfeng, he didn't hate Yi Chunfeng. Instead, he wanted to rope Yi Chunfeng into his Octahead Divine Country. If Yi Chunfeng was willing to come to his Octahead Divine Country, he believed that in the alchemy world, Octahead Divine Country would definitely be able to suppress 9 Heavens Divine Country. That's right, little friend Fengchen was able to refine a saint pill at such a young age. It's a miracle in and of itself. He deserves to be first place. Qian Xin King also supported Yi Chunfeng, causing Great Master Nirvana's face to turn ashen. Thank you for your affirmation. I'm still young, so there are many areas where I'm lacking. It's understandable that Master Nirvana feels that sharing first place with me is an insult to his status. Yi Chunfeng guessed that the Great Destruction Venerable targeted him because of his repeated rejections earlier. So, he smiled faintly and said humbly, it's good that you know. Hearing Yi Chunfeng's intention to admit defeat, Great Master Nirvana's anger lessened a lot. He coldly snorted. Yi Chunfeng looked at the arrogant Master Nirvana and smiled. Master Nirvana, if you really don't want to share first place with me, that's fine too. Let's have another round. I'll refine the Huangji Quasi-Sage Pill, and Senior will refine the Taishu Quasi-Sage Pill. As long as Senior's Taishu Quasi-Sage Pill can reach my level, I'll automatically give up first place. You! Great Master Nirvana didn't think that Yi Chunfeng's words were a trap. First, he wanted to make him happy, then he stabbed him. He was so angry that his face turned green. That's fine too. If Master Nirvana feels that this ranking is unreasonable, then we'll have another round. I believe no one has any objections. Xian Hongjing glanced at Yi Chunfeng and smiled. If you want to compete, I can compete with you in refining. Great Master Nirvana had never suffered such humiliation before. He was slapped in the face by a junior in front of everyone. However, he didn't have the ability to refine the Taishu Quasi-Sage Pill to the Sacred Pill level. He didn't dare to accept the challenge. He gritted his teeth and glared at Yi Chunfeng. Sure, this junior is also preparing to participate in the next refining competition. If Senior wants to bet, this junior will accompany you. However, wouldn't a simple bet be too boring? Why don't we add some stakes? Yi Chunfeng agreed very straightforwardly. What do you want to bet? Seeing the calm Yi Chunfeng, Great Master Nirvana frowned and asked in a low voice. Let's bet on the rewards of our alchemy competition. If this junior is lucky enough to win, the rewards of Senior's alchemy competition will belong to this junior. If this junior loses, then this junior's rewards will belong to Senior. Yi Chunfeng suggested. Hearing that Yi Chunfeng actually had the guts to bet on the rewards of the alchemy competition's first place, everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air and revealed a surprised expression. Yi Chunfeng dared to make such a big bet, which proved that he was full of confidence in the refining competition. It also showed Xian Hongjing and the others how terrifying he was. Unparalleled alchemy skills, terrifying physical body, and profound Tao intent. If he also grasped the terrifying refining skills, then such an all-round Yi Chunfeng was worthy of the divine nation's divine emperor to come out and rope him in. His future achievements were even more immeasurable. What's wrong, Senior? You are highly respected and your refining skills are unparalleled. You can't be afraid of this junior, right? Yi Chunfeng looked at Great Master Nirvana, whose face was gloomy like water and was trying hard to suppress the anger in his heart. He smiled and said, Forget it, this junior is also a person who is easy to talk to. If Senior is afraid of losing to this junior and losing face, then let's not bet. A sense of humiliation and anger that he had never experienced before filled Great Master Nirvana's heart, giving him the urge to strangle Yi Chunfeng to death. Other than anger, Great Master Nirvana also had a trace of regret in his heart. He regretted that he shouldn't have provoked Yi Chunfeng, who was full of thorns, and pushed himself to the edge of the waves. All right, I agree to bet on the rewards of the alchemy competition's first place. In front of so many old rivals, Great Master Nirvana knew that he couldn't back down. If he backed down, the people of the Octave Divine Nation and the Kirin Kingdom would definitely make a big fuss about this matter. At that time, he would definitely lose all face and become a laughingstock. Seniors, please be a witness for me and Great Master Nirvana. Seeing that Great Master Nirvana agreed, Yi Chunfeng's smile became even more brilliant as he spoke softly. Don't worry, Great Master Nirvana is highly respected and won't go back on his word. Great Elder Xian Zhongding, who favored Yi Chunfeng a lot, said with a smile. Great Master Nirvana didn't think that things would develop to this point. He angrily glared at Xian Hongzheng and the others, who were completely leaning towards Yi Chunfeng, and angrily left. Fire Spirit, where are you going? Just as the Fire Spirit Saint Child was about to leave with the people of the Nine Heavens Divine Nation, Yi Chunfeng suddenly stopped him and said, Isn't it time to settle the bet between us? The Fire Spirit Saint Child braced himself and said, The Heavenly Fire Triple-Layered Transformations Cultivation Chant is not on me. That's not urgent. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said, I want you to kneel down and kowtow to me to apologize. The Fire Spirit Saint Child's face turned red as he tightly clenched his fists and angrily glared at Yi Chunfeng. Feng Chen, do you really want to fight to the death with my sacred Fire Valley? Yi Chunfeng ignored the Fire Spirit Saint Child's threat and slowly said, Okay, no more nonsense. Don't tell me you want to go back on your words. If you agree to a bet, you have to accept your loss. Fire Spirit, stop being so wishy-washy, and quickly kneel down and kowtow. A trace of coldness appeared in the Flood Demon King's eyes as he ordered without any room for resistance. Feeling everyone's gazes, the Fire Spirit Saint Child knew that he had no choice. He clenched his teeth and stubbornly kneeled on the ground in humiliation and kowtowed 3 times to Yi Chunfeng. That's more like it. Let's go. Take me to your father and get the Heavenly Fire Triple-Layered Transformation. Our grudge ends here. However, if you are not convinced and want to take revenge, I welcome you at any time. Yi Chunfeng said with a smile as he looked at the Flame Spirit's Saint Son, who was kneeling on the ground like a dog. Yi Chunfeng completely won the bet with the Fire Spirit Saint Child. His next target, Yi Chunfeng set his sights on the arrogant and evil Great Master Nirvana. Mobile reading website, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read next time, you can click Save at the bottom to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1187. This is the cultivation formula of the Heavenly Fire Triple-Layer Change. Watching Yi Chunfeng win first place in the alchemy competition through the light wall, Fire Sky Halberd could not calm down for a long time. He did not expect that the Holy Son of Fire Spirit would provoke a monster that the sacred Fire Valley could not afford to provoke. When Yi Chunfeng found him, he could only obediently give the cultivation formula of the Heavenly Fire Triple-Layer Change, the number 1 divine sense of the sacred Fire Valley, to Yi Chunfeng. I hope you learn from your mistakes and don't provoke me again. Otherwise, I will destroy your inheritance. Watching Fire Sky Halberd and his son leave in embarrassment, Yi Chunfeng narrowed his eyes and murmured in his heart. Feng Chen, where did you come from? How can you be so powerful that you can even refine a divine elixir? The Tao addict and the others gathered around and looked at him as if he was a monster, as if they wanted to see through him. This junior only managed to refine the sage-grade medicinal pill after performing excessively and adding a bit of luck. Yi Chunfeng said modestly as he looked at the shocked faces around him. Don't be modest. You won first place in the highest level alchemy competition in the Central World, not just by luck. The Tao addict said with a smile, In the future, when the 4 of us ask you to refine elixirs, you can't refuse or blackmail us. Otherwise, I will ask my disciple to settle accounts with you. Yi Chunfeng glanced at Zhao Yuyan, who was blushing and looking radiant, and promised softly, Rest assured, seniors. If you need it, I will refine elixirs for you for free. Haha, I was waiting for you to say that. The Tao addict laughed and said with satisfaction. As for the Absolute Sword Trio, they all smiled. The way they looked at Yi Chunfeng had changed. Although their realms had reached the limit of the central world, if they had the support of a powerful divine elixir, their strength could still improve a lot and their lifespan could also increase. Therefore, Yi Chunfeng, who had the strength to refine a divine elixir, was extremely important to them. Let's go, seniors. Let's go back. I want to cultivate for a few days and prepare for the alchemy competition in 3 days. Yi Chunfeng said softly. What? You still want to participate in the artifact refining competition? The Tao addict and the others widened their eyes in astonishment and asked in astonishment. They were unable to imagine that at Yi Chunfeng's age, not only was his strength formidable, his Tao insights profound, and his refinement technique unparalleled, he even grasped formidable equipment refinement technique. Even if he was cultivating in his mother's womb, it was impossible for him to be so abnormal. Yes, I also made a bet with Master Nirvana on the final result of our weapon refining competition. The prize is the reward of our alchemy competition. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, What? Hearing Yi Chunfeng's understatement, the Tao addict and others were all dumbfounded and petrified on the spot. This, Feng Chen, are you sure you can defeat Nirvana? Not only is his attainment in alchemy unparalleled, but his craftsmanship is even more frightening. In the entire central world, the number of people who can defeat him in craftsmanship can be counted on one hand. The Tao addict gasped. I don't have absolute confidence in defeating him. If he wants to defeat me in refining weapons, it won't be that easy. Yi Chunfeng's calm voice revealed incomparable confidence. Monster, this kid is a monster. The Tao addict and the others looked at each other, and the same thought emerged in their minds. After returning to the Tao addict's ancient courtyard, Yi Chunfeng rejected the proposal to celebrate. He returned to his room and set up a soundproof restriction. After a simple rest, he took out a large amount of refining materials from the Qiankuan world. As he refined weapons, he tried to merge the purple-beginning sacred thunder and the sky-burning sacred fire into the equipment refining embryo. Before coming to the Fire God City, Yi Chunfeng was already able to seal the purple-beginning sacred thunder and the sky-burning sacred fire into the equipment refining embryo, and the success rate was more than 90%. However, if he wanted to defeat Master Nirvana, a one-time attack was probably not enough. Yi Chunfeng was prepared to try to seal the 2 sacred objects 2 or even 3 times. Although his idea was quite bold and difficult, it was feasible after the evolution of the Chaos Divine Wood. According to his idea, Yi Chunfeng used the power of the Chaos Divine Wood to do experiments again and again. He forcefully sealed the first sacred fire and the first sacred thunder into the equipment refining embryo twice. However, during the experiment, Yi Chunfeng still encountered a lot of trouble. After repeated experiments and failures, his confidence was greatly damaged. What exactly went wrong? Yi Chunfeng realized that the first seal would succeed, but the second seal would always lose control of the initial sacred fire and initial sacred thunder, tearing apart the seal and exploding the refining embryo. This made him ponder over the problem continuously. Could it be that the power contained in the first sacred fire and the first sacred thunder is too strong, and the low-grade Tao artifact I refined is not strong enough to seal the first sacred fire and the first sacred thunder twice, which led to the failure in the end? After thinking for a while, Yi Chunfeng thought of where the problem might be. However, 3 days was too short, and the time needed to refine a high-grade Tao artifact was very long, so he had no time to confirm his guess. Just when Yi Chunfeng was in distress, there was a knock on the door, and Zhao Yuyan's gentle voice sounded outside the room. Feng Chen, Palace Master Xian is here, and wants to see you. Palace Master Xian. Hearing Zhao Yuyan's voice, Yi Chunfeng immediately stopped the experiment, opened the door, and followed her to the main hall, where he saw Xian Hongjing, who was chatting with the Tao addict and others. Feng Chen, I didn't disturb your cultivation, did I? Seeing the golden couple Yi Chunfeng and Jiao Yuyan appear in the main hall, Xian Hongjing put down the teacup in his hand, showed a faint smile, and asked softly. No. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said, Palace Master Xian, I wonder why you came to see me so late at night. Qingfeng, can we talk in private? Xian Hongjing asked. Of course, Yi Chunfeng said very straightforwardly. If you don't mind, Palace Master Xian can come to my room. Feng Chen, I came to see you today because I have a very important matter to ask for your help. After arriving at Yi Chunfeng's room, Xian Hongjing said directly. Palace Master Xian, please speak. Yi Chunfeng personally poured a cup of fragrant tea for Xian Hongjing and said, I want to ask you to help us refine a pill after the competition. Xian Hongjing took a sip of tea and said, Palace Master Xian, what grade of pill are you going to refine? Yi Chunfeng slightly raised his eyebrows and asked in surprise. Heavenly Palace represented the highest level of refining in the central world, and it was also the holy land in the hearts of alchemists and refiners. A pill that even they were not confident in refining was extraordinary. 10 pattern low-grade Saint Pill. Xian Hongjing said. 10 pattern. Yi Chunfeng sucked in a breath of cold air. 1 pattern low-grade Saint Pill had already exceeded the limit of the Duhan continent, and if a 10 pattern low-grade Saint Pill was refined in the Duhan continent, it would definitely be punished by the heavens. I know this request is a little difficult, but the 10 pattern low-grade Saint Pill that we are refining is extremely important to my heavenly palace. Xian Hongjing said. Palace Master Xian, there are so many Saint Masters in the central world, why did you come to me? Yi Chunfeng did not immediately agree and asked softly. Whether it is Master Nirvana, Master Dan Xin or Master Bai Luo, they all have the blood of foreign races flowing in their bodies. You are the same as us, with the blood of the human race flowing in your body. In addition, you have displayed superior refining skills today, so we feel that you are a good candidate and trustworthy. However, you don't need to feel too burdened. Regardless of success or failure, we will still be grateful to you and offer you a generous gift. Xian Hongjing explained. All right, I am willing to help. After knowing that Heavenly Palace was the inheritance of the human race, Yi Chunfeng did not think too much and agreed. Thank you. Feng Chen, I don't know what you want, but as long as my Heavenly Palace can take it out, we will definitely give it to you. Xian Hongjing said with a trace of gratitude. Then I will not stand on ceremony. Yi Chunfeng thought for a moment and said, I want 3 high-grade Dao artifact embryos, 3 supreme-grade Earth artifact embryos, 1 quasi-sacred artifact embryo, the Royal Saint Pill refined by Master Nirvana and 81 supreme-grade Dao swords. Alright, tomorrow morning, I will order someone to send these items to you. Although the items that Yi Chunfeng wanted were priceless, and even the Saint Lands could not take them out, Xian Hongjing still agreed happily. By the way, Feng Chen, due to your outstanding performance in the weapon refining competition, you do not need to participate in the preliminary and semi-finals. You can directly participate in the finals. Before leaving, Xian Hongjing gave Yi Chunfeng a heaven token. With this heaven token, Yi Chunfeng could directly participate in the finals. Thank you, Palace Master Xian. Yi Chunfeng was overjoyed. What he lacked now was time. With this heaven token, he could have more than 10 days to do experiments. Alright Feng Chen, have a good rest. I am leaving. After saying that, Yi Chunfeng respectfully sent him off. Xian Hongjing left the ancient courtyard and returned to Heavenly Palace. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. The next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1188. Early in the morning, a ray of light pierced through the mist and shone on Fire God City, awakening this ancient city with a long history. Early in the morning, Sky Hall's experts brought Yi Chunfeng's Dao tool embryos, Royal Holy Pill, and 81 top-grade Dao swords. The reason why Yi Chunfeng wanted the Royal Holy Pill was because he wanted to use this top-grade body-tempering saint pill to cultivate the third stage of the 9 transformations, the astral body. Yi Chunfeng wanted the 81 top-grade Dao swords to form the Cosmos Sword Array. With his current soul realm, he could control the 81 swords to attack at the same time. And when he upgraded the 81 swords to top-grade Dao swords, it greatly increased the power of the Cosmos Sword Array. The strongest attack definitely surpassed a low-grade Saint artifact, becoming one of Yi Chunfeng's greatest trump cards. After getting what he needed, Yi Chunfeng immediately went into seclusion. He took out the top-grade Dao tool embryo and threw it into the vermilion bird cauldron. As he burned and refined it, he borrowed the power of the Chaos Divine Wood to seal the Purple Beginnings Sacred Lightning and Sky Burning Sacred Flame into the Dao tool embryo. Just as Yi Chunfeng was hiding in his room and experimenting, the entire central world was in an uproar because of Yi Chunfeng's stunning performance in the alchemy competition. His name resounded throughout the central world. Octahead Divine Nation's mansion in Fire God City. Han Yen, what's your relationship with Feng Chen? Monarch, who was wearing a black robe and exuding a faint demonic aura, called Shui Han Yen to his room and asked in a low voice. Uncle Wang wants me to rope Feng Chen into my Octahead Divine Nation's camp. Shui Han Yen, who was wearing a long black silk dress that vividly accentuated her impressive figure, exuded an enchanting charm from head to toe. She lightly played with a strand of long hair that hung before her chest as she spoke softly. That's right. This Feng Chen is the most terrifying young man I've ever seen. More importantly, his alchemy skills are unparalleled. He's an endless treasure trove. If we can recruit him, he'll definitely strengthen our kingdom. He'll be one of the pillars of our kingdom in the future. Monstrous Monarch nodded. Uncle Wang, I think there are many people who have the same thoughts as you, Shui Han Yen said in a flat voice, making it impossible for others to guess her true thoughts. Yes, as soon as the results were announced, Feng Chen immediately became the most popular person in the world. Even the 9 Heavens Divine Kingdom and the Kirin Kingdom are thinking of ways to win him over. Emo Tao King nodded and said, Han Yen, are you willing to help? Help? Using a honey trap? The corners of Shui Han Yen's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a thought-provoking smile, as she said with neither joy nor sorrow. Han Yen, I know your standards are high, but this Feng Chen is a good match for you in terms of both appearance and talent. You should consider it carefully. If you miss out on him, you will most likely be betrothed to the Thousand Tribulation sex Li Tianyi, Demon Wave King advised. Li Tianyi, that guy is a bit annoying. Shui Han Yen's eyes flashed with a sharp light. All right, since Uncle Wang said so, I'll give it a try. However, there are many beauties around that Feng Chen. You have to find a way to create an opportunity for me. Don't worry, the Heavenly Temple will hold a grand banquet after the competition. At that time, I'll create an opportunity for you too. Demon Wave King was overjoyed after seeing Shui Han Yen agree. Yi Chunfeng, how do you think I should entice you to leave with me? Shui Han Yen revealed a charming smile. Her beautiful demeanor made Monarch Emolyuwang's heart tremble. Demon Wave King racked his brains to win over Yi Chunfeng. The 9 Heavens Divine Kingdom, the Kirin Kingdom, and even the reclusive Vast Heaven Palace were all doing their best to win over Yi Chunfeng. Among them, the Kirin Kingdom even came to visit, but the Dao addict used the reason of Yi Chunfeng's seclusion to drive them away. Very quickly, 3 days passed and the armament refining competition began. At this time, Yi Chunfeng was hiding in his room, constantly experimenting. Finally, after repeated efforts, he added 2 layers of seals to the supreme-grade Dao tool, sealing the Purple Beginnings Lightning and the Skyscorch Flame twice. My earlier guess was right. The Purple Beginnings Lightning and the Skyscorch Flame are too powerful. Ordinary Tao tools can't withstand their power, so they burst. After successfully sealing the 2 layers of purple beginnings holy lightning and sky burning holy flame in the embryo of the supreme grade Tao artifact, Yi Chunfeng heaved a sigh of relief and revealed a faint smile. I wonder if a quasi-sage tool can withstand the power of 3 layers of purple beginnings lightning and the sky scorch flame? If he wanted to defeat Great Master Nirvana in the blacksmith competition, Yi Chunfeng knew that an ancient Tao weapon would not be enough. He had to refine a quasi-sacred weapon to have a chance. If he could add 3 layers of seals to the quasi-sage tool, his chances of victory would be even greater. I hope I can succeed. Yi Chunfeng rested for a while and threw the quasi-sage tool embryo into the vermilion bird cauldron. After 3 days of experimentation, he successfully used the power of the Chaos Divine Wood to add 3 layers of seals to the quasi-sage tool embryo. Purple beginnings lightning, sky scorch flame, fuse. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng forcibly fused the 2 sacred spirits into the 3 layers of seals. Although there was still a slight deviation during the fusion, it almost led to failure. However, the transformed Chaos Divine Wood was extremely heaven-defying. Under its effect, Yi Chunfeng finally succeeded in fusing the 2 sacred spirits into the 3 layers of seals. The successful sealing of 3 layers meant that after the quasi-sage tool was refined, it could use the power of the Sky Scorch Flame and Sky Scorch Lightning 3 times in a row. In a fierce battle, these 3 sacred spirits' attacks were enough to turn the tide. I wonder how many days are left until the final round of the refining competition. After the successful experiment, Yi Chunfeng was in a good mood. He stretched his body and soaked in the bathtub for a while to relieve his tiredness. He summoned the 9 flood dragon diagram and began to study the Saint Tool runes in the diagram, making the final preparations for the refining competition. After another 3 days, Jiao Yuyan's gentle voice sounded from outside the room. Feng Chen, the Sky Hall's messenger wants me to inform you that tomorrow is the refining competition. He wants you to prepare well and participate on time. It's finally time for the finals. Yi Chunfeng opened his tightly closed eyes and woke up from his meditation. His eyes that were as deep as the ocean were filled with anticipation. Feng Chen, do you want me to help you recover your soul energy tonight? Jiao Yuyan, who was wearing a white floral dress, was as beautiful as a fairy. There was a faint blush on her delicate face as she looked at Yi Chunfeng with a gentle gaze. She was like a little demoness who was tempting him to commit a crime. Okay. Yi Chunfeng's heart skipped a beat as he looked at the beautiful Jiao Yuyan, who had an otherworldly temperament and did not lose her charm. He held her soft and smooth hand and sat on the large, soft bed. Then, he unreservedly let his soul merge with hers, becoming inseparable. In this intoxicating and ethereal state, he started to cultivate the immortal soul art. Very quickly, the night passed. After a wonderful night of cultivation, Yi Chunfeng's soul energy had reached its peak state. Under the care of Jiao Yuyan, he changed into a new set of clothes and left the ancient courtyard in high spirits. He went to the fire god shrine. The final round of the refining competition had begun. Book Group 836225554, welcome everyone to join. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1189. Feng Chen, do your best. Get first place for us to see. Dao Addict smiled as she looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was in an excellent state of mind and had created miracles time and time again. I will do my best. Yi Chunfeng nodded. With a confident smile, he said, Seniors Yuyan, I will be going in now. With that, Yi Chunfeng held the heaven's order and passed through the restrictions of the fire god shrine. He entered the majestic fire god shrine that looked like a palace. At this moment, the arrogant Master Nirvana, Master Dan Xian, Master Bai Luo, and the rest all arrived. Other than the few top sacred masters in the central world, Yi Chunfeng saw many unfamiliar figures in the fire god shrine. They didn't participate in the alchemy competition and were only here for the alchemy competition. Feng Chen, how are your preparations? Seeing Yi Chunfeng, who was wearing a white alchemy robe, appear in the fire god shrine, Grand Elder Xian Zhongting, who had been waiting for a long time, smiled faintly and took the initiative to welcome him. Junior is ready. I won't disappoint you all. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said confidently. Hearing Yi Chunfeng's words, Master Nirvana's eyes twitched. Very quickly, he suppressed the anger in his heart and ignored Yi Chunfeng. He remained silent and waited for the finals to begin. That's good. Xian Zhongting nodded and said, Wait here for a moment. The finals will begin soon. As time passed, the 20 tool refiners who had entered the finals had all arrived. Due to Yi Chunfeng's outstanding performance in the alchemy competition, he had become the absolute focus of attention. Quite a few tool refiners were secretly sizing him up, very much wanting to see through him. Everyone, please enter the heavenly fire world. At this moment, a deep voice resounded in the fire god shrine. It didn't disperse for a long time. In the next moment, a huge gap appeared in the sky above the fire god shrine. The entrance to the heavenly fire world had opened. Everyone flew into the void and entered the extremely hot heavenly fire realm. They saw Xian Hongzheng and the others standing on a fiery red stone platform. Other than the Sky Hall's few big shots, the 3 great divine kings, the experts of the vast heaven palace, Yen Ryu, and the others had also appeared in the heavenly fire world. They wanted to watch the finals of the blacksmith competition up close. Feng Chen, I didn't expect you to be a dual cultivator in both alchemy and smithing. You're truly amazing. Good luck, we'll be waiting for you to create another miracle. Yen Ryu, who was wearing a dark blue silk dress, had an exquisite figure that was faintly discernible. Her face was like a begonia orchid, and her eyes were like the bright moon and the stars. She stood in silence and gave off an extremely charming feeling. She revealed a faint smile and spoke in a pleasant voice. At this moment, Yen Ryu no longer viewed Yi Chunfeng as a junior, but as an equal. In the entire central world, the number of pill saints who could refine sacred pills could be counted on one hand. Given her strength, she also needed Yi Chunfeng's help. Yes, senior. Seeing Yen Ryu standing beside Xian Hongzheng, Yi Chunfeng immediately guessed who the person who had asked Yen Ryu to help him out was when he had been bullied outside the Sky neighborhood. Alright, everyone, quiet down. Today is the final round of the blacksmith competition. It is also the finale. The rules of the competition are the same as the previous years. Whoever refines the weapon with the highest grade, the best quality, and the greatest power will be the final winner. Everyone's materials will be provided by the Sky Hall. In this finals, the top 3 will receive the same rewards as the alchemy competition. The weapons they refine will also belong to them. The blacksmith competition will last for a month. Everyone, please write down the materials you need on a piece of paper. Xian Hongzheng, who was standing in the center of the fiery red stone platform, looked around at the 20 blacksmiths who were ready and introduced them in a deep voice. Before he came, Yi Chunfeng had already written down the materials he needed on a piece of paper. He was going to refine a sword from the inherited memory of the God-Eater brain. It was a sword that had reached the limit of a quasi-saint treasure. The reason why he had chosen to refine a sword was because he was more familiar with the structure of a sword. It would be easier for him to refine it. A quasi-saint weapon sword was what he was currently lacking. Although the materials needed by the 20 alchemists were rare and precious, the Sky Hall, which had a heritage of over 1,000,000 years, was still able to gather the materials needed by everyone in a short period of time. All right, everyone, please enter the blacksmith space and prepare to refine. After distributing the materials, Everyone entered the individual blacksmith spaces in the Skyfire world. What a terrifying foundation! The 31 refining materials I need are all of the highest quality. Looking at the materials provided by the Sky Hall, Yi Chunfeng was slightly surprised. If it were him, he might not be able to gather such precious materials even if he gave it his all. It was enough to show how terrifying the Sky Hall, which had stood in the central world for over 1,000,000 years, was. All right, the blacksmith competition will last for a month. Begin. With Xian Hongzheng's order, the blacksmith competition began. Vermilion Bird Cauldron. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Vermilion Bird Cauldron. He breathed the sky-burning initial sacred fire into the Vermilion Bird Cauldron and began to refine the precious materials. Although the Vermilion Bird Cauldron had an artifact spirit and had reached the level of a Gu Dao treasure, the sword Yi Chunfeng wanted to refine was a quasi-saint weapon. It surpassed the Vermilion Bird Cauldron's level. It was strenuous for the Vermilion Bird Cauldron to refine the supreme-grade materials, which greatly affected Yi Chunfeng's refining speed. If it weren't for the sky-burning initial sacred fire being strong enough, Yi Chunfeng wouldn't have been able to refine the materials in 30 days. Time passed day after day. Due to the high quality of the materials used to refine the quasi-sage tools, it was very difficult to melt and purify them. Yi Chunfeng tirelessly spent close to 20 days before he managed to melt and purify the 31 materials. At this time, besides Yi Chunfeng, the other blacksmiths had already finished refining the materials. They used their profound refining techniques to refine the refined essences into weapon embryos. It took nearly 20 days to complete the refining. Feng Chen's speed is a bit slow. Xian Hongzheng and the others, who had been paying attention to Yi Chunfeng's refining speed, saw that Yi Chunfeng's refining speed was far behind the other blacksmiths, and they began to worry for him. If Yi Chunfeng couldn't complete the refining in the allotted time, then no matter how amazing his performance was, it would be useless. And if Yi Chunfeng failed, then the alchemy competition's rewards would go to Grandmaster Nirvana. And because of this matter, his reputation would be damaged and it would cause a bad impact. Huff, huff, this quasi-saint weapon is indeed very difficult to refine. After refining all the refining materials, Yi Chunfeng immediately swallowed the several drops of soul recovery Y in his mouth. He began to use a mysterious refining technique, condensing the 31 refining materials together. When he was condensing them, he borrowed the power of the Chaos Divine Wood to add a seal to the refining embryo that was slowly taking shape. When Yi Chunfeng used his refining techniques to the extreme, 6 arms appeared from his body and used the refining technique with his 2 arms to speed up the refining embryos in the Vermilion Bird Cauldron. 8 arms. Could it be that Feng Chen is using the long-lost 8 arms sacred refining technique? Seeing Yi Chunfeng's 8 arms move and use the refining technique, Xian Hongzheng and the other Sky Hall's big shots narrowed their eyes and revealed looks of disbelief. In the ancient books passed down from the Sky Hall, there was an introduction to this refining technique. The 8 arms sacred refining technique was one of the top refining techniques in the Central World 1,000,000 years ago. However, because it was too long ago and for various reasons, it had long been lost. Now that it had reappeared, it had completely stunned Xian Hongzheng and the other Sky Hall's big shots. Amazing, I was wondering why this little guy dared to bet with Grandmaster Nirvana. It turns out that he has mastered this ancient saint artifact technique. It seems that he might really be able to create another miracle and defeat Grandmaster Nirvana. After seeing Yi Chunfeng use the 8 arms sacred refining technique, Xian Hongzheng felt relieved and looked forward to Yi Chunfeng's even more exciting performance. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1190. Phew, the first seal is complete. After more than a day of refining, Yi Chunfeng was finally able to add a seal to the slowly taking shape of the sword-shaped embryo, fusing the purple origin sacred thunder and heaven-burning origin sacred flame into it. When the sword-shaped embryo stabilized, Yi Chunfeng continued to use the 8-armed sacred refining technique to refine pills while finding an opportunity to add a second seal to the embryo. After another 2 days, the second seal was formed, and the process was surprisingly smooth, allowing Yi Chunfeng to let out a long sigh of relief. Third seal, condense. After successfully forming the second seal in the embryonic sword-shaped sword, Yi Chunfeng did not stop at all. He formed the third seal in one go. Although Yi Chunfeng had the help of the primal chaos divine wood, he was still very careful while condensing the third seal. He was afraid that the slightest mistake would cause all his efforts to be in vain. Time quickly passed as Yi Chunfeng patiently condensed the third seal. Soon, 25 days had passed. At this time, many refiners had finished their competitions and refined one powerful Tao treasure after another. There were even ancient Tao treasures. Strange, what is Feng Qin doing? Why is he suddenly slowing down? At this rate, the remaining 5 days won't be enough. Xian Hongjing, who had been paying attention to Yi Chunfeng's refinement, found that Yi Chunfeng's refinement speed had been decreasing over the past few days. He was puzzled and began to worry for him again. This Feng Chen's cauldron is at a disadvantage. If he had a quasi-saint treasure cauldron, his refining speed would have increased by a lot. Yen Ruyu frowned as she slowly said with a different kind of beauty. That's right. Although Feng Chen has subdued a kind of first saint flame, his cultivation cauldron is too weak, and he can't bring out the full power of the first saint flame. The Demon Wave King nodded. Xian Hongjing and the others were secretly worried because Yi Chunfeng's refinement speed was slowing down. They knew that they couldn't rope in Yi Chunfeng, but they didn't want Master Nirvana to lose the competition. Instead, they revealed gloating smiles. From their point of view, Yi Chunfeng dared to bet with Great Master Nirvana. It was no different from courting death. From the very beginning, they didn't believe that Yi Chunfeng could defeat Great Master Nirvana, who was one of the top blacksmiths in the Central World at his age. Seal. When it was almost the 26th day, Yi Chunfeng finally formed the third seal on the sword-shaped embryo. He sealed the purple beginnings holy lightning and the sky burning holy fire within the sword-shaped embryo. Phew, there are still 4 days. I have to hurry. Although there wasn't much time left, Yi Chunfeng didn't panic. He swallowed a few more drops of soul-returning liquid to recover his soul power. At the same time, he spat a large amount of heaven-burning origin sacred flame into the vermilion bird cauldron to increase the power of the flames inside. In the next moment, he controlled the heaven-burning origin sacred flame and death flame to fuse into the chaos divine wood. He multitasked and controlled the chaos divine wood to fuse the two flames. Although the death flame wasn't as powerful as the heaven-burning origin sacred flame, the death flame had also reached the limit of a heaven flame. Once the two flames fused, it would definitely allow the heaven-burning origin sacred flame to undergo a qualitative leap and transform into a true sacred flame. It would completely solve the flaw of the vermilion bird cauldron and complete the refinement in the limited time. As the heaven-burning origin sacred flame and death flame slowly fused in the chaos divine wood, Yi Chunfeng used the 8 arms sacred refining technique again. The 4 arms condensed quasi-sacred runes and fused with the sword-shaped embryo to increase its quality. The 4 arms condensed pure offensive runes and fused with the sword-shaped embryo to increase its offensive power. Seeing Yi Chunfeng suddenly increase his refining speed, Xian Hongjing and the others were puzzled. He's speeding up, that Feng Chen is finally speeding up. What was he doing a few days ago? Why did he speed up towards the end? Could it be that he likes the feeling of his heart beating faster? Palace Master Xian, can you tell what grade of weapon Feng Chen is refining? Yen Ruyu sipped a mouthful of spirit tea and looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was completely focused on refining. She softly asked Xian Hongjing. From the runes he condensed, Feng Chen should be refining a quasi-sacred artifact. From the 8-armed sacred refining art Yi Chunfeng executed and the quasi-sage inscriptions that he condensed, Xian Hong guessed Yi Chunfeng's refining grade. Quasi-sacred artifact. Yen Ruyu's beautiful eyebrows slightly raised as she said, "Palace Master Xian, do you think he can finish refining in the remaining 4 days?" Xian Hongjing hesitated for a moment before saying, "This quasi-sacred artifact is extremely difficult to refine. Normally, there wouldn't be enough time, but this little guy can't be judged by common sense. I feel that he should be able to complete the refinement." Because Yi Chunfeng's furnace grade was too low, it greatly affected his refining speed. Moreover, after pondering for a long time, he still couldn't think of any method that Yi Chunfeng could use to turn the tide. He was filled with worry. Wung, just as Xian Hongjing and the others were worried about Yi Chunfeng, a boundless red light lit up in an independent space. Quasi-sacred artifact. Someone has refined a quasi-sacred artifact. Seeing the sudden appearance of the red light, everyone's eyes were attracted to it. A set of battle robes that emitted red light flew out from a burning cauldron. It floated above the slightly pale but spirited Master Pilheart, who had a look of joy on his face. "It's Master Pilheart. He has refined a quasi-sacred artifact battle armor." The difficulty of refining a quasi-sacred artifact battle armor was far greater than that of an offensive quasi-sacred artifact. Furthermore, Master Pilheart was the first to refine a quasi-sacred artifact. With this battle armor, he had a high chance of entering the top 3. After another half a day, Master Nirvana, who had made a bet with Yi Chunfeng, completed the refinement. The instant he completed the refinement, a large amount of blue light shot out from the furnace. 2 identical quasi-sacred artifact Wugo swords that were engraved with a large number of runes and contained over 10,000 offensive runes appeared in the furnace. Heavens, Master Nirvana actually refined 2 quasi-sacred artifacts. Master Pilheart's quasi-sacred artifact battle armor is instantly inferior to his. Amazing, Master Nirvana is indeed the strongest sacred master in the Central World. There's no doubt he'll be first. When the 2 quasi-saint weapons made by Grandmaster Nirvana appeared, everyone was stunned. Hearing everyone's discussion, Heavenly King Tu and Di Mingyue smiled proudly. "Humph, what an arrogant brat. Do you really think you can challenge Master Nirvana's position just because you got first place by luck? Wait until the end of the competition. I'll make sure you cry." Di Mingyue wore a gorgeous long dress and looked noble like a proud peacock. She curled her lips and revealed a mocking smile as she murmured to herself. She wasn't the only one who felt that Yi Chunfeng was bound to lose. After witnessing Master Nirvana refine 2 quasi-sacred artifacts, almost no one thought that Yi Chunfeng would win. Even Xian Hongjing felt that unless a miracle happened, Yi Chunfeng was bound to lose. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 1191. Time flew by and soon, there was only 1 day left until the final round. Watermark advertisement test Chinese. At this moment, apart from Yi Chunfeng and Master Shueiyue from Vast Heaven Palace, everyone else had finished refining. Because Master Nirvana had refined 2 quasi-saint artifacts at the same time, and the quality was excellent, many people felt that Master Nirvana would surpass Master Dan Xin, who had refined a quasi-saint artifact, and obtain first place. The competition is about to end. Feng Chen, you have to do your best. You must succeed. Jiao Yuyan clenched the corner of her clothes tightly and bit her pink lip. Looking at the image on the light wall, she anxiously shouted in her heart. believe in Fengchen. I feel that he will create another miracle. Wang Tian Marquis gently hugged the anxious Jiao Yuyan and comforted her softly. I am so stupid. If only I had lent the phoenix burning furnace to Fengchen, he wouldn't have had such a hard time. Jiao Yuyan leaned into Wang Tian Marquis' embrace and constantly blamed herself. AI. Hearing Jiao Yuyan's constant self-blame, Wang Tian Marquis sighed softly. She could also see that Yi Chunfeng's furnace quality wasn't good enough, which affected his refining speed. But after seeing Master Nirvana refine 2 quasi-saint artifacts, she felt that even if Yi Chunfeng had the phoenix burning furnace, the chances of him defeating Master Nirvana were very slim. Fengchen is still young and impetuous. I hope this lesson will make him mature a little. Wang Tian Marquis thought in her heart and felt a little pity for Fengchen. Wang! Just as everyone's attention was focused on Yi Chunfeng and Master Shuiyue, Master Shuiyue's hands moved quickly and formed several complicated hand seals. She continuously struck the boiling furnace and formed a large amount of light. In the next moment, a pair of boots with a large number of engravings, a pair of wings, and a quasi-sacred artifact rank boots broke through the tightly shut furnace amidst the scorching flames and flew into the air. Quasi-saint artifact of speed. Master Shuiyue actually refined a quasi-saint artifact of speed. The difficulty of forging a pseudo-saint artifact was even greater than that of a defensive pseudo-saint artifact. It was comparable to Master Nirvana's dual pseudo-saint artifact Wu Go. Master Pilheart frowned slightly when he saw the feathered boots floating above Master Shuiyue's head. Although his refining skills were far superior to Master Shuiyue's, the combat robes he refined were incomparable to the feathered boots Master Shuiyue refined. It could be said that he had lost to Master Shuiyue in the weapon refining competition. Amazing! Grandmaster Shuiyue's attainments in the artifact arts are indeed deeper. After refining this pair of feathered boots, he indeed has the qualifications to compete with Grandmaster Nirvana for first place in this artifact refining competition. Many people were full of praise for the pair of feathered boots that Master Shuiyue had made. The atmosphere was also unprecedentedly high because of the feathered boots that Master Shuiyue had made. Master Shuiyue had completed her weapon refinement. Of all the contestants, only Yi Chunfeng had yet to complete his weapon refinement. At this moment there was still more than half a day before the end of the competition. Almost no one was optimistic about Yi Chunfeng. There were even people who suspected that Yi Chunfeng would not be able to complete his weapon refinement in the allotted time. Just as Yi Chunfeng became the focus of discussion, the Sky Incinerating Saint Fire and Death Blaze Heaven Fire finally completed their fusion in the Chaos Divine Wood. They transformed into a brand new Saint Fire, the Sky Incinerating Saint Fire. Sky Incinerating Saint Fire, refining. After the flames had fused and evolved, Yi Chunfeng did not hesitate to release the Sky Incinerating Saint Fire and inject it into the Vermilion Bird Cauldron. Following that, he used the power of the God-Eater Brain to continue imitating the 9 Flood Dragon Diagram's Saint Weapon pattern. He carved a Saint Weapon pattern on the fully formed sword embryo, increasing the quality of the quasi-saint sword to the greatest extent. A third type of flame. Seeing Yi Chunfeng suddenly summon a dark golden flame that flickered with blue dots and fused into the Vermilion Bird Cauldron, the noisy Sky Fire world and the spectator pavilions fell silent. Pairs of shocked eyes stared at the light wall, unable to believe that Yi Chunfeng had summoned a third type of flame at the last moment. Heavens, what kind of body does that guy have? With his body of flesh and blood, how can he fuse 3 types of flames at the same time? Just how many secrets is this guy hiding? Soon, the spectator pavilions were in an uproar. Yi Chunfeng had completely become the focus of their discussion. Palace Master, do you know if Fengchen's third type of flame is real? Great Elder Xian Zhongting's eyes widened as he looked at the equally shocked Xian Hongzheng and asked in a low voice. I don't know. I originally did not know that Fengchun had a third type of flame. However, for him to summon this flame at the last moment shows that its power surpasses the sky incinerating saint fire. Xian Hongjing shook his head and guessed. If it surpasses the sky incinerating saint fire, then it is the true saint fire. Xian Zhongting gasped and said, since he has such a terrifying flame, why didn't he use it earlier? Why did he have to wait until the last moment? I can't guess what this little guy is thinking either. Xian Hongjing shook his head and said, however, since he left this trump card for the last moment, there must be a reason. I think that, at the last moment, he should be able to complete the refinement. Rumble. Just as everyone was discussing, the silent sky of Sky-Fire World suddenly reverberated with a deafening sound of thunder. The endless dark clouds were like thousands of soldiers and horses. They surged forward crazily, forming a thick layer of tribulation clouds in the sky above the Heaven-Fire World. Tribulation clouds. As the controller of Sky-Fire World, Xian Hongjing immediately sensed the tribulation clouds the moment they appeared. His eyes widened as a look of shock appeared on his face. This Fengchun is not refining a quasi-saint artifact, but a saint artifact. Only when something was refined beyond the limits of Central World would it attract the artifact tribulation to destroy it. Xian Hongjing could not imagine that not only could Yi Qinfeng refine saint elixirs, but he could also refine saint artifacts. After a short moment of absent-mindedness, Xian Hongjing came back to his senses and quickly opened the seal of Sky-Fire World. Immediately, everyone in Sky-Fire World felt the power of the tribulation clouds. Their eyes widened as they looked at the dark clouds in the sky. They looked as though they had seen a ghost. Artifact tribulation, it's actually artifact tribulation. This Fengchun is refining a saint artifact. Heavens, is this guy really human? When did Central World give birth to such a monster? I was wondering why he dared to bet with Master Nirvana for the alchemy competition's prize. So his artifact refining technique has reached such a standard. This is the first time I've heard that someone can refine a saint artifact. The saint weapons and saint treasures of the Central World were not made by the blacksmiths of the Central World. Instead, they were found in ancient ruins or sky domain ruins. Therefore, when they saw the weapon tribulation that Yi Qinfeng attracted while refining, everyone was scared silly. Without the Sky-Fire World seal, the tribulation clouds rolled even more violently. They swept through the void like raging waves. It was as though the end of the world had arrived. I never thought that I would attract the artifact tribulation just by inscribing a saint artifact rune. The God-Eater Brain's quasi-saint artifact formula is indeed powerful. Looking at the tribulation clouds above his head that were getting thicker, Yi Qinfeng's face revealed a trace of seriousness. He was afraid that the artifact tribulation would trigger the 3 seals he had sealed in the saint's sword. If that happened, all his efforts would be in vain. Rumble. Just as Yi Qinfeng was waiting solemnly, a huge explosion rang out from the violently tumbling tribulation clouds. A pitch-black tribulation lightning broke through the tumbling tribulation clouds, and like a spatial crack that tore through the heavens, it ruthlessly struck towards Yi Qinfeng, who had ignited his fiend god bloodline and was going all out. Boom! The space where Yi Qinfeng was in trembled violently. Yi Qinfeng and the vermilion bird cauldron were swallowed by the pitch-black tribulation lightning. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support.